up? What's good, people? What is up? What is up?
Oh.
Oh, well, hello.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Not you eating real good.
Real good. Mm-mm. Ooh. How y'all caught me like that? Mm-mm. Uh, y'all weren't supposed to catch me. Mm-mm. What's going on, y'all? What is going on? We are here. I am here with the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the the one you all swoon over. Here to my right, Mr. Kamz. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm well. How are you? How are you? How are you?
I'm full of color and very neatly done. What? Why you went silent? Listen, y'all. We here again tonight for the watch party. They got the roll call going on at the DNC, casting their votes, and their delegates are casting their votes for Kamala as we speak. Hey, everybody in the chat. We certainly will start watching in a bit, but they got the roll call. So we got some stuff we got to talk about while they're doing the roll call. And then we'll get to doing some watching and commentating and stuff like that. Hey, Quake, Jason, Morgan, TJ, what's going on, everybody? Brown Mama, Tracy W, Crazy Homebody Girl, everybody in the chat. Hello, Catherine Powell. Pinky Tiki, Fran, Janae, Bilo, Didi. Y'all know we gonna get this party started. Kamz, have you ever had the pleasure of going to a DNC?
I have not.
It's a lot of fun. Hey, Paul. Hey, Harold. Harold. Harold.
Oh, everyone's favorite, Harold.
I know everybody love them some Harold. They don't love us. They got Spike Lee up there with New York and Letitia James. Come on, Letitia. Letitia James, know her hair, her makeup always be late. She do not play around with y'all. Anyway, Spike Lee, them glasses. Hey, Savon E.
What about the glasses?
You want to see his glasses? I can show you his glasses. Hold on.
I just asked what about them?
Oh, it's gone now. He's gone. Oh no, he's still there. There he is. That's him with his glasses.
What's wrong with the glasses?
They just so out there. Like it's too white.
Bone white.
Child. Anyway, I would turn up the volume, but they got DJ Cassidy up there jamming, and he's playing songs that I do not have copyright for. Baby, I'm not doing it. I ain't got that type of smoke. Child. I don't know why they let your governor speak. We'll listen to it after. We'll come back to it. Anyway, sir, how's your week been?
You just heard that? Yet another email after hours.
After hours, and you still got it open? Oh, you better than me. I wish a bitch would.
You know. But other than that, today was productive, very productive. I mean, how are you after the marathons that you did on last night?
You know, can I be honest? I was supposed to get up and go for a quick doctor appointment this morning at 8 o'clock. And my body got up, the alarm went off, and I knew I was gonna have to fight traffic. I got up and who is that for North Carolina? He kind of cute with his big teeth and his pretty dimples. You want to see who I'm talking about? Wait, hold on. With his big teeth and his pretty dimples. Mm-hmm. You see him?
Yes.
Come on, North Carolina. I ain't mad. I'm not mad at it. Anyway, ow. He cute.
Something nice to look at.
I know. Ciao. Anyway, yeah. So nevertheless, I had to call and say, listen, I'm not gonna make it. Let's reschedule because it's not gonna happen. And I rolled back over and went to sleep. Rolled right back over. I got up for work, but child. Anyway, so we got a couple things to talk about, and then we like them skinny around these parts, Quake. We got a couple things to talk about before we start the watch party and stuff. And yeah. So let's talk about day one. Let's recap day one. Did you watch day one? Because you wasn't over here. You was skipping class yesterday. So I don't know if you watched or not.
I did watch, and I have my degrees. But anyway, I did watch last night. Thought it was a great first night. I thought they vetted the speakers pretty well. Definitely enjoyed Jasmine Crockett and AOC. Hillary did a surprisingly good job.
Hillary was good.
I was tapped out by the time Joe got up there, though.
Listen, we was over here struggling. You had Harold and So Jeff. They all big up in the high fiving Joe and telling him to keep going. And the rest of us in the chat like, please, Joe, please just go sit your ass down. Please go sit your ass down, please.
You didn't like. I mean, I was tired, so
He
I mean,
was all right, but we were just tired. We were exhausted. I had like 7 hours of a live. I was on live for like 7 hours yesterday. So by the time Joe got up there, we was tired as hell. Quintessential, how's everything in the streets of Chicago since that's your hometown? You in them streets? Well, you probably got to stay in the house because they probably got the streets on lock. They probably not playing with y'all over there.
some people said they said Joe did a good job.
I mean, he was all right. He was all right. He was just, Joe, and like we talked about, Joe is not an orator. He's not. He's just not an orator. He's not someone you go and listen to a Joe Biden speech and say, "Oh my God, I feel energized." No, not now. Not when he was younger. Not ever. He's just not. That's just not him. Um. So my favorite of the night. My favorite of the night was probably it's a toss up for me, but it was I'm probably going to go with AOC. I loved AOC, and the reason that I'm going to say AOC because AOC was on message for AOC. She hit all of the points. Excuse me, that she and her demographic and the progressive wing of the Dems want to hear. So AOC was my favorite. But Hillary was so good. Raphael Warnock was so good. Jasmine Crockett was so good. Who was not good and who they should have just not had up there was Yo Boy, who I can't stand, Jim Clyburn. Why was he up there? Why was he up there?
My boy.
Mm-hmm.
Since when do I rock with him?
I don't know. I don't know. But I can't stand him.
Well, do you have me confused with someone else? I mean,
I got to give him to somebody because I ain't taking him. I'm just saying.
And I definitely don't want it. Thank you.
Ciao. Hey, everybody. Hey, Civil Law 11. Hey, Lil Baby. Hey, everybody, as y'all come in the building. We're going to get to the watch party in just a second, but we just had a couple things we wanted to talk about. They doing the roll call right now, so y'all ain't missing nothing and nobody. They doing the roll call. We can't exactly play the roll call because they got DJ Cassidy jamming. And when I tell you DJ Cassidy is up there jamming, DJ Cassidy is up there jamming. But that would invoke copyright claims and strikes and all of that kind of stuff. We ain't got that type of time. Anyway, but Jim Clyburn they had him in the middle of all of the powerhouse speakers, and he was just out of place. It was just, why are you here? I did not like Jill Biden either. Joe Biden's daughter was So let's talk about this. This was the big thing from last night. Kamala Harris showed up on stage night one. What is your take on that? Because we had mixed.
Can we get into the song choice? Go ahead and what did she walk out to? Go ahead and
I don't remember what she walked out to.
Go ahead and walk us through that.
I don't even remember what she walked out to because we were so focused on the tan suit. I don't even remember what they played in the background. Was it Freedom?
It was.
I mean, she been playing Beyond Skank the whole time, so I don't expect anything less. Every time she comes out, they always play Freedom. I just guessed and said it was Freedom because that's what she comes out to. So yeah.
I mean, I liked it, but I also really liked day one of the DNC anyway, though, because it feels like breaking the mold on business as usual, trying different sorts of strategies, especially outreach on social media and stuff like that. I feel like they're getting a little bit more savvy with messaging.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was surprised. Everybody, even her husband, looked surprised. You never expect to see the the nominee come out on day one. Like they may be sitting amongst the crowd, but they don't touch that stage until the last day, and they're
Yes.
the last one to speak. And so for her to come out there and just greet the crowd, wave and everything, she said a couple things about Joe, but it was surprising. I think it was a risk. It was a calculated risk, but a risk nonetheless. And I was like, oh, okay. Quake says she pulled an audible. She did. Like we did not expect that. I don't. Nobody expected that. So who was Bay for you, Fran? That was good. So Jasmine Crockett with the one tear that was coming down. I was like, oh yes, you better emote, horror emote.
Not emo.
Um, Raphael Warnock taking us to church. Yeah, it was a good night. Who are you looking forward to tonight? Now, before you talk about who you're looking forward to tonight, I do want to call out Patty LaBelle already sang. If you're waiting for Patty already sang. She sounded a mess. And I love Patty, but she sounded a mess. But my favorite moment early in the day was during the 6 o'clock hour when Malcolm Kenyatta went up there.
Okay.
Because we don't have a lot of out black gay politicians, climbing the ladder like that. You see what I'm saying? And he has a black husband. He's married to a black man. Yes. Okay. Come on now. A black husband.
The way you had to put emphasis on a black husband is
because we know how the white gays do. They like to prop up the black men that cater to having white husbands. Let's just be clear. Because that's more palatable. Because that's palatable for white America. If you think white America has issue with two white men together, think about how white America looks at a black man. You understand what I'm saying? And the whole connotation of black men being, these brute machismo, kind of thing. And so the notion of two black men together, I'm just saying, we could have a whole conversation about that, but we ain't got that type of time tonight. But I'm just saying, who has a black husband, Jeannie? Malcolm Kenyatta. He's a state representative in Pennsylvania. Actually, I think he's running for auditor general, I think, in this coming election, but he's a state representative in Pennsylvania. Out gay man. And hopefully we see big things for him in politics for the black gay community, because we do need that. We need to show people that we're not all hairdressers and rappers and stylists, and we span the gamut. We are everywhere.
Why did you start with those occupations?
Because that's where people pigeonhole us and stereotype us. I'm just saying. I ain't never did nobody here. I take that back. When I was a little boy, when I was in high school, and my little cousins, we had to get them dressed for school. Sometimes I had to do their hair. They got two little ponytail balls. They was real cute. They sitting on the school now, and I walked them to school. Going on now. One time, my little cousin, she was like 6 years old. Well, can you do some plaits or some braids like my friends have? No, you ain't getting all of that. I got to go to school, and I ain't got this type of time. Shut up, get these two puffs, and go on to school and leave me alone.
Not the puffs.
They was in elementary school. I was in high school, and I had to take care of the kids.
You had her rough and tough with her afro puffs. Okay.
Mm-hmm. They was cute. I'm just saying. Real cute. Anyway, so I sent you the schedule for tonight. So for those people wanting to know what tonight's schedule, who's speaking tonight. Now, this is who we have to look forward to tonight. After the roll call, right? You got Anna Navarro coming up tonight. They got quite a few, and that's a going thing. We saw that earlier. Quite a few Republicans coming up to speak on behalf of Kamala. You have Anna Navarro. She's speaking. Chuck Schumer is going to speak. Bernie Sanders is going to speak. Excuse me. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is going to speak. New Mexico Governor Michelle Grisham, she will be speaking. Angela also Brooks, candidate for Senate out of Maryland, is speaking. Mesa, Arizona Mayor. Oh, there go my boy Justin Pearson. Come on, Tennessee. I see you, Justin, with the afro. Where's the other Justin?
Justin.
Where's the other Justin? I don't know where he at. Anyway, that's Tennessee. I'm sorry. But Mesa, Arizona Mayor John Giles, Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, Kamala's husband, second gentleman Doug Emhoff. Then we'll have our forever First Lady Michelle, and then you'll have former President Barack Obama. That's the lineup for tonight. Anybody you looking forward to outside of the Obamas?
Just take the wind from my sails.
Because we know you're going to say the Obamas outside of the Obamas.
I'm like a child. I look forward to the dessert after the meal. So.
Oh, dear God. I do want to hear Angela also Brooks. She needs this night and this moment. She's in a very contested race with former Governor Hogan out there in Maryland. So she needs this extra bump and this extra push. I have not heard Michelle Grisham before. I've heard good things about her. So I'm curious to see what she has to say. I've also heard good things about Mesa, Arizona Mayor John Giles. I have not personally heard him, so I'm curious to see what he brings. But of course, the feature presentation of the night is going to be the Obamas. Chuck Schumer, you could throw his ass away. I really am not.
Look,
I mean, I'm gonna listen, but I mean, child, girl, child, girl, child. Come on, Texas. Look at Texas. Look at Representative Al Green. Come on, Al Green. Anyway, yeah, I Bernie, I love Bernie, but Bernie might be good. Bernie has his moments. I will see what Bernie gives. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing also Brooks. I do want to hear her, and I want to see what the Texas New Mexico governor, I should say, Michelle Grisham gives. I want to see what Mayor John Giles of Mesa, Arizona gives, because I'm curious to hear what they have to say. I'm always looking for, new voices, people we haven't heard before, and to hear what is gonna who could be the next man up in the party. So yeah, that's always something to look forward to. Speaking of which, speaking of new voices, we're seeing a lot of young voters, not voters. Well, we are seeing a lot of young voters, but a lot of young faces, new voices. In the early parts of the they speak, but just all over the place. You're seeing a lot of new faces, new voices, young up and comers in the Democratic Party. So, what are your thoughts on some of these individuals?
I think if we nurture people that are passionate about the process, I think we'll be very successful. I would say day one of the DNC really, I would say, energize the youth voting bloc. So that's good to see because they're going to be instrumental if they come out in droves, that it'll be a demographically advantageous election for the Dems.
Okay. Here's it's good and bad for me. Here's my problem. My problem is And those of you all who've been following me for a long time, are gonna know what I'm talking about. Over a year ago, I was screaming to anybody who would listen. Was I not doing that? Everybody, hey, Latasha Collins, hey, Miss Bay Thing, hey, Miss Shorty B, hey, everybody. Those people who've been watching me, have I not been screaming for well over a year? There are a lot of young, intelligent, great Dems out there that can come and be the next wave of the Democratic Party. And I've been screaming that the freaking establishment Dems continues to stifle them, continues to make them be quiet, keep them in the background. And that's why we end up with candidates that are 81 years old. All the kids won. That's good, Yana. I'm glad all of the kids won. Y'all know Yana be at football practice, cheerleading practice, football games, cheerleading games, gymnastics. Yana got them orange slices and Tang and Capri Suns on tap if you need it. She be out there in them streets with the kids, and we root for the kids. Shout out to the kids who got to win. But yes, I've been screaming this for so long. So I'm so glad that finally some of these young up and comers are being given a platform, allowed to speak. I love hearing Jasmine Crockett last night, who's 2 years younger than me and young and up and comer. Hopefully, if I'm being honest, I don't think Colin Allred will win this Senate seat. I just don't, because Colin Allred is someone who is not listening to reason and said he don't want y'all to go and fight for and stomp with him in Texas, and he thinks he can win it on his own. I guess get it how you live. But it looks like he's probably going to lose to Rafael Cruz. But what does speaking last night do for somebody like a Jasmine Crockett, who possibly, when John Cornyn is up for reelection, I believe John Cornyn is up for reelection in 28. I think he just got reelected in 22, and I think he's not up again in 28 until 28. But who's to say that a Jasmine Crockett may not move up and, decide to make a run for Senate and have a great chance and could possibly win? Who's to say that they may not give her more duties and responsibilities in the great Democratic Party? Maybe they make her one of those people. She's already on the oversight committee, which is one of the big 5 committees. And stuff like that. So certainly I love to see the young people. They have Malcolm Kenyatta up there today. You have Angela also Brooks, who will be up there. She's an up and coming. I think Wes Moore will be tomorrow. I have to check on that. I think Wes Moore is tomorrow. And so many bright lights in the Democratic Party that just were not being given a chance and not being used. So it's great to see that they're finally getting a clue. I don't know where Kamz went. He just left me up here, and that's okay. We still love him. Just be leaving me up here, leaving me. Just saying. So there's not a lot of political news because the DNC is basically it's taken over the news cycle. Tonight, some are saying between tonight and Thursday night, those are the 2 biggest nights, at least for black people. Black people gonna want to see them some Michelle and Barack too. Black people want to see Michelle first. Let's be clear. Black people want to see Michelle first. I ain't gonna lie to you. They want to see Michelle. Now we gonna take Barack too. Don't get it twisted. We like Barack, but we want to see Michelle first. We are here for all parts of Michelle. Look at Pramila Jayapal. She knows she be getting on my nerves sometimes. But yes, black people, we want to see Michelle, and then we'll take some Barack, and then we want to see Kamala on Thursday, and hopefully she delivers a awesome speech on Thursday. Just to give y'all another peek inside, this is what it looks like right now. And I'll be honest, I've been at a I've been at a I've been a delegate. I've been at a Democratic National Convention, and to me, the roll call is one of the best highlights of a Democratic National Convention because it's the electricity in the air. It's the just the atmosphere when they call your state. You know, you and all your fellow delegates, you get up, you scream, you holler, you chant. You know, if you got a good state and a good head of your Democratic party, y'all might have on the same outfits and stuff like that. Like it's a huge pep rally. That's basically what it is. It's a huge pep rally and it's so much fun. And there's so many great things that happen there. What about Beyonce or Taylor? What do you mean civil law? What about Beyonce or Taylor? Jasmine gives Latasha said Jasmine gives me hope for Texas, but not much. They drop the ball every time. They have the easiest of layups. Well, I don't know that Texas is the easiest of layups. Texas really is not, because of the vast size of Texas is not the easiest of layups. And Texas, you have to be able, you got to know how to work the land over there in Texas, because while you have those metropolitan centers that people often think about because they live in those metropolitan centers, the vast majority of Texas is red because it has so many rural areas. And if you can't speak to the those metropolitan, I mean those rural areas, you're not going to win Texas. Also, after the 2020 census and them redistricting and redrawing the maps of Texas, even some of the areas in Texas or districts that were purple because of the way they redrew the maps are now staunchly red. So you only have the metropolitan centers. They've even carved out some of the suburbs, and which oftentimes are purple, and made those suburbs, blood red. So that's what makes Texas so difficult. It was a rumor that Beyonce and Taylor Swift are coming. Oh, I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Beyonce came, especially on a night like tonight, either tonight or Thursday. Now, while I could see her coming tonight because the Obamas are going to be there, I think it would make more sense if they're going to come, Taylor and Beyonce, come on Thursday, because that's Kamala's night. Come on Thursday before Kamala come out there. You got the Swifties, you got the Beehive, and these people. You'll break the goddamn internet if them whores was up there on stage together rooting for Kamala. They'll break the goddamn internet on goddamn Thursday. Okay, I'm just saying. So if they are going to come, civil law, I would love for them to come on Thursday as opposed to tonight. Maybe grassroots effort will work in Texas like they do in Florida for the Dem. I think that's what needs to happen. You gotta have some grassroots efforts outside of the metropolitan areas. Either that or, excuse me, one of two things are going to have to happen. Either you're going to have some grassroots efforts outside of the metropolitan areas to some of those rural areas. And there are pockets of rural Texas where you can probably garner some votes. Areas like Killeen, Texas, areas like El Paso, areas with large Black populations like Tyler, Texas. There are some rural areas, areas like maybe Wichita Falls, Texas, Waco, Texas. There are some areas where you can steal votes and things like that. Where it's possible, do some roots at Odessa. Absolutely. Do some grassroots efforts. Corpus Christi. There's Brownsville. There are absolutely some areas in Texas where if you do some grassroots and galvanize people in those areas, you certainly can put a dent in, and that's all it takes is a dent in, and then let people know that this could really happen and there's hope for change. um you can absolutely make something happen. Either you're going to do that, or you're going to say, well, if all you're going to give us is the blue, well, we're going to make sure we highlight our strengths, and and focus on the blue areas. And so that means there has to be a groundswell of voter registrations in those metropolitan areas, and get out the vote um, 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 get out the vote strategies in those areas, so that you balloon the votes in those voting strengths area. And now those, that's the big four in which is Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. The big four, those big four areas, you can do that. Right. Most of not Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is rural. You can still places like Erie, Pennsylvania, Erie County in Pennsylvania has gone blue in the past and can go blue again. There's a chance even Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, you can get that area to go blue as well. So there are places where you can steal pockets. Either you're going to steal little pockets in some rural areas where you may have a chance, or you're going to have to lean on the metropolitan centers and balloon the number of votes you have in those metropolitan centers. Minnesota is going why are they going that? I have no idea. Probably because did California already go? Maybe that I've seen this before, where the last two states will be this second to last state will be the state for the vice president, and the last state will be the state for the president. You've seen that in the past, so that may be why you saw. See, that's what's happening now. Usually, that's what'll happen. Like the vice president state will go second to last, and the presidential nominee state will go last. So that's why when they were called earlier, they said they were not going to vote at that time. So yeah, that's what that was about. Child, look at Nancy Pelosi. Child, Nancy Pelosi makeup had gave up last night. Even her makeup was tired last night. Nancy Pelosi makeup said, "Girl, I ain't got nothing else for you." Child, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's what that's about here. The Latino vote has to be courted too. Do you think the Dems can get their vote? They can. It depends on the demographics. Remember, the Latino vote is really truncated, nationalized, in that for the Latino vote, it depends on the nationality. Whereas the Puerto Rican vote will be different from the Cuban vote, which will be different from the Mexican vote, which will be different from the Dominican vote. So you have to know how to, or which may be different from the Colombian vote, and so you have to know how to speak to the different demographics in the Latino electorate, and know what issues matter to them. Yeah. And I can tell you, if you, for example, if you're trying to reach the Cubans, that becomes hard because they're even more racist than white people. I'm just saying. So you really have to be strategic, and you have to have somebody who knows how to get that that demographic out to vote. Chinese are starting to be more politically active because SquarePants doesn't want them on the. That's true. That is true. I want to turn up the volume, y'all, but I can't turn up the volume to DJ Cassidy stop playing, because DJ Cassidy is over there jamming. And I don't want to get a copyright strike. Okay. I do not want to get a copyright strike because DJ Cassidy is over there jamming. I'm just saying. Ciao. Ciao. Uh Maxine was over there looking Willie Watkins shop. Okay. They had that fume makeup on Maxine caked up on that woman. Somebody need to go over there and get some blush or some rouge over there on Auntie Maxine, because baby, they had that Willie Watkins special over there. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see what they say. Is DJ Cassidy still over here playing music? Okay. Come on, Kamala. Surprising the people. Oh no, 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 no. We can't play that. No, 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 no. We cannot play the Beyond skank. Cannot do it. They'll throw us right on off. Right on off. I love you down, Kamala. But what we not gonna do is have you giving us copyright claims and copyright strikes for Beyonce. I like that blue. Um, that's as loud as it goes. Latasha. I like that blue, Kamala. That blue is sickening. That blue is sickening, Kamala. I ain't gonna lie. I live. Okay, Anna Navarro's up now. Anna looks snatched. Anna look like she done lost a few pounds. I see you, Anna. Anna look a little snatched over there. Really, Anna? Hold on for a minute, y'all. Mm.
Ambition. Country first before habit. And in this election, putting country first means one thing and one thing only: voting for Kamala Harris.
Is the sound better now?
And that is what this night is about. That is what we're going to talk about tonight. So you know what? Let's get it started. Let's get this fiesta going.
It might be better if I use my It might be better if I use my earphones. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if that helps. If I use my earphones, hold on. Hold on a second, y'all. I want to just make sure the volume is good for y'all. I want y'all to Kamz is coming back. He said he wanted to he had to go downstairs real fast. He'll be back. He says he's coming back. Hold on. All right. There go y'all boy Chuck.
Now just let me hear you if you're ready for President Kamala Harris. Friends, we're here to talk about one thing: tomorrow. And building a better tomorrow for all Americans. This
Is that better, y'all? I connected my earphones. Can y'all hear it now? Is that better?
I worked with Kamala Harris when she was Senator Harris. I saw a leader who was fearless, who stood up for middle-class families like the one she was raised in, who focused on things that really mattered. Helping parents raise their kids.
Oh, hold on 1 second, y'all.
Neighborhoods.
Hold on for a moment. I know what happened. Hold on for 1 moment. That's my bad.
That gives everyone
I know what I did. I'm sorry, y'all. That's my bad. Hold on 1 second.
She will lead America forward into a brighter future, but she can't do it alone. She needs a Democratic majority in the Senate of the United States.
Is that better?
Now, my friends, 2 years ago, the naysayers said Senate
Okay. Yeah, that was my
Democrats
fault. I did
stood
something wrong.
no chance in the midterms. I told them, just you wait. We're going to keep the Senate and maybe pick up a seat or two.
I forgot to
And
share the
that's
audio.
exactly what happened. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my good friends at this convention, I am telling all of you now, we're going to hold the Senate again, and we're poised to pick up seats.
Baby, somebody need to look at that right eye.
To create good-paying jobs and lower costs.
Somebody need to look at that right eye.
To defend a woman's right to choose. To deliver for communities back home. Our senators are doing it. Like Jackie Rosen, delivering high-speed rail for Nevada. John Tester.
Yeah, we need him to go ahead and
bringing
retire.
high-tech jobs
Get
to
that seat to
Montana.
AOC.
And Bobby Casey and Sherrod Brown and Tammy Baldwin and Martin Heinrich fixing bridges in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Wisconsin and New Mexico. We also have amazing
Wait, how is
candidates.
Kamz in the chat and not on
Ruben
camera?
Angela Also Brooks, Andy Kim, Alyssa Slotkin, Lisa Blunt, Rochester, Colin Allred, Debbie Mucarsel Powell. And folks, listen to this. More than half of our candidates are candidates of color. We're making the Senate look like America. Now,
Just
let's
retire,
compare
sir,
that
please.
with Senate Republicans. Senate Republicans pretend to care about middle-class families, but they voted no.
I tried to
on
tell him that,
expanding the
Harold.
child tax credit, and J.D. Vance didn't even show up to vote. Senate Republicans pretend to care about the border, but they voted no on the strongest border bill in a decade. Republicans tend to care about freedom, but they voted no on a woman's right to choose.
They called you Quake?
No to safeguard IVF. No to birth control. That is just a taste of their extreme agenda. Is that what we want for America? Do we want a Republican Senate that assaults reproductive freedoms?
Wait for them to call me.
Do we want a Republican Senate that cuts taxes for the rich, rigs the game for big oil and big pharma? Well, folks, the choice is ours.
That's not how this works, Kamz.
Now let me close.
Not atrophy.
Let me close on a personal note. As the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in American history, I want my grandkids and all grandkids to never, never face discrimination because of who they are. But Donald Trump, this is a guy who peddles anti-Semitic stereotypes. He even invited a white supremacist to Mar-a-Lago. And unfortunately, his prejudice goes in all directions. He fuels Islamophobia and issued a Muslim ban as president. Tonight, folks, I am wearing this blue square to stand up to anti-Semitism, to stand up to all hate. Our children, our grandchildren, no matter their race, no matter their creed, their gender, or family, deserve better than Donald Trump's American carnage.
I guess.
So, are you ready to make sure Donald Trump never, ever gets near the White House again? So let's elect Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and a Democratic majority in the Senate and keep the torch of freedom burning bright for generations to come. On to victory in November.
Now, granted, Chuck Schumer is 73. The man looks 93. He's only 73 years old, and he looks 93.
Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
Listen, I don't know what Kamz got going on, y'all. Kamz, I told Kamz to be his ass on the goddamn screen. And where's Kamz? His ass says he's in the chat. Can y'all rag on him, call him out, and cuss him out, and tell him to get his ass on screen? I cannot do this by myself. I need y'all to do that for me. I want Ted Cruz to lose his job too, but Colin Allred, I don't know what he doing over there. Colin Allred said, you don't want nobody coming to Texas to help him campaign. He said he got this on his own. Sir, I can't tell you got it on your own. I don't know what's going on over there. Somebody need to let me know what's going on with Colin Allred in Texas. Have y'all seen any of his ads? I mean, is he campaigning well? I don't know. Child. I don't want to call a man an idiot, Jen Bunny, but I need for him to get a grip. I'm just saying. I don't. No. If you want to call him an idiot, you can. I just don't know the man well enough. But you listen. You have your opinion. You are within your rights to call him an idiot. Trust me, I call enough people an idiot. You know me. I call people out. Yeah. They're right now. They're going over some of the things that she's set out to do in her economic plan. Right now, that's what they're going over. I'm scared to play some of these things because they oftentimes come with music that is copywritten.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
Come on, Bernie.
Thank you. Thank you. My fellow Americans,
I like Bernie.
it is an honor. It is an honor to be with you tonight because we're laying the groundwork for Kamala Harris to become our next president. And let me tell you why that is so important. I want you all to remember where we were 3.5 years ago. We were in the midst of the worst public health crisis in 100 years and the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. 3,000 Americans were dying every day, and our hospitals were overwhelmed with COVID patients.
I mean, Tracy, he's only from Vermont. It's only like 3 people up there, so let him go ahead and stay in Vermont. It's only 3 people up there.
Unemployment was soaring. Workers
I like
were
Bernie.
losing their health insurance. schools were closing, state and city budgets were running out of money. People were being evicted from their homes.
He might be one of the youngest people up there
Children
in Vermont. Let's be clear.
America were going hungry. That was the reality the Biden-Harris administration faced as they entered the Oval Office. A nation suffering, a nation frightened, and people looking to their government for support. And within 2 months of taking office, our government did respond. We passed the American Rescue Plan, which provided $1,400 for every man, woman, and child in the working class.
Do I think he had a shot in 2020? It was too early.
For the unemployed. We provided
The Dems weren't ready for
emergency
progressive
assistance for
candidate.
small businesses to stay open. We guaranteed health care coverage to tens of millions of Americans through one of the largest expansions of Medicaid in history. We provided rent relief and mortgage assistance, which prevented tenants and homeowners from being evicted. We established emergency food programs for hungry children and the elderly, and protected the pensions of millions of union workers and retirees from being slashed by up to 65%. Oh, and by the way, we cut childhood poverty by over 40% through an expanded child tax credit. Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, Vice President Harris. Thank you, Democratic Congress. Now, I say all of this not to relive that difficult moment, but to make one simple point. When the political will is there, government can effectively deliver for the people of our country. And now we need to summon that will again, because too many of our fellow Americans are struggling every day to just get by, to put food on the table, to pay the rent, and to get the health care they need. Brothers and sisters, bottom line, we need an economy that works for all of us, not just the billionaire class. My fellow Americans, when 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck, the top 1% have never, ever had it so good. And these oligarchs tell us we shouldn't tax the rich. The oligarchs tell us we shouldn't take on price gouging. We shouldn't expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and vision. And we shouldn't increase Social Security benefits for struggling seniors. Well, I've got some bad news for them. That is precisely what we are going to do.
You want me to fast forward, Kamz? Kamz, can you come up on camera and say it to my face?
Because this is precisely what the American people want from their government. And my friends, at the very top of that to-do list is the need to get big money out of our political process. Billionaires in both parties should not be able to buy elections, including primary elections. For the sake of our democracy, we must overturn the disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision and move toward public funding of elections. And let me tell you what else we must do. We need to join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care to all people as a human right, not a privilege. We need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. We need to pass the PRO Act so that workers can organize in unions and gain the decent pay and benefits they deserve. We need to strengthen public education, raise teachers' salaries, and make sure that every American, regardless of income, receives the higher education he or she needs. We need to take on Big Pharma and cut our prescription drug cost in half so that we no longer pay any more than other countries. Joe and Kamala made sure that no senior in America pays over $35 a month for insulin. We need to make sure that reality is true for every American. I look forward to working with Kamala and Tim to pass.
We're going to talk about
this
Bernie
agenda.
once he gets off.
And let us be very clear. This is not a radical agenda. But let me tell you what
Thank you,
a
Ms. Cookie Ray.
radical agenda is. And that is Trump's Project 2025. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, giving more tax breaks to billionaires is radical. Putting forth budgets to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid is radical. Letting polluters destroy our planet is radical. And my friends, we won't let that happen. Fellow Americans, in the last 3.5 years, working together, we have accomplished more than any government since FDR. But much, much more remains to be done. We must summon the courage to stand up to wealth and power and deliver justice for people at home and abroad. Abroad, we must end this horrific war in Gaza. bring home the hostages, and demand an immediate ceasefire. At home right here, we must take on Big Pharma, Big Oil, Big Ag, Big Tech, and all the other corporate monopolists whose greed is denying progress for working people. On November 5th, let us elect Kamala Harris as our president, and let us go forward to create the nation we know we can become. Thank you all very much.
Okay, so, and I know a lot of y'all had a lot to say about Bernie. Let me tell you why you need a Bernie on the Democrats' night like tonight. Bernie's going to get up there, and Bernie is going to talk policies. Bernie is going to give you substance. A lot of people on the Democratic side is going to talk fluff. They're going to give you feel-good stuff. They're going to try to, sell you some kind of stuff, pipe dream, tell you how horrible Donald Trump is, but not give you policy. And you got to mix in some real substantive policy for the people that want to hear that, to mix in with the people that just incite your emotions and make you feel good. This is the governor of Illinois.
And in the steel we forged to survive both. Our love of country has been a tapestry of faith that weaves from Abraham Lincoln reuniting a house divided to Barack Obama declaring blue states and red states make one United States. Now, Illinois' presidential pedigree is unmatched. And given that Vice President Kamala Harris spent some of her early life right here, I speak for the entire Illinois delegation when I say, we claim her too. Now, one president we will never claim is the con artist the Republicans nominated in Milwaukee last month. Donald Trump once called Chicago embarrassing. To quote a great Chicagoan who won 6 world championships on these very grounds, we take that personally. I had to govern for 2 years while Trump was president. Let me tell you what's embarrassing. In Illinois, we passed a massive bill to fix our roads and bridges. When Donald Trump proposed his own plan, he turned right around and called it stupid. We eliminated the grocery tax. Donald hasn't been in a grocery store since his first bankruptcy. Illinois invested in clean energy and the jobs it brings. Donald claimed that windmills in the ocean made the whales a little batty. During COVID, we supported small businesses and jobs. And Donald told us to inject bleach. Donald Trump thinks that we should trust him on the economy because he claims to be very rich. But take it from an actual billionaire.
Well then.
Trump is rich in only one thing: stupidity. Now, I meet with business leaders all the time, and there's one universal thing they all need: people. They need more workers to fill all the jobs they have. But the anti-freedom, anti-family policies of MAGA Republicans are driving workers away. Here's the thing. Americans don't want to be forced to drive 100 miles to deliver a baby because a draconian abortion law shut down the maternity ward. Americans want the hope of giving birth through IVF, not the fear that it might be taken away. Americans with LGBTQ kids don't want them facing discrimination at school because the state sanctioned it. Americans want to go to their neighborhood grocery store and not have to worry about some random guy open carrying an AR-15. Americans don't want their kids to be taught in history class that slavery was a jobs program.
Wow.
And if Americans are black or brown, they want to get promoted at work without being derided as a DEI hire for the sin of being successful while not white. Let's be clear. It's not woke that limits economic growth. It's weird. And these guys aren't just weird, they're dangerous. Democrats are for lower taxes and higher wages, less inflation and more business growth. We just think it's wrong to craft those policies for Elon Musk and not for everyday working people. That includes a secure retirement and good health care. We think the government should help you prosper, not police who you're sleeping with. More than anything, Democrats want economic policies that are kind, not cruel. But Trump chooses cruelty every time. After all, everything he's achieved in his own life has been by hurting someone else. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, well, they've spent their lives lifting people up, not pushing them down. They know that a White House that leads with kindness looks at someone who is struggling and sees not what they might cost society, but what they might create for it. Americans want policies that give every American a chance to make it to the middle class. They want to grow small businesses, and Democrats want to cut taxes for everyday people. More than anything, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want a country where we can all live with a little serenity. The serenity that comes with a balanced checkbook, an affordable grocery bill, and a housing market that has room for everyone. And if there's one thing I know about Donald Trump, he's not bringing anyone any kind of serenity. We have a choice, America, between the man who left our country a total mess and the woman who has spent 4 years cleaning it up. And I think it's time we stop expecting women to clean up messes without the authority and the title to match the job.
Oh, wow.
Vice President was a good title for Kamala Harris, but you know an even better one? President of the United States of America. Let's go get him!
And that was Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. I expect that from a Illinois governor. Illinois is the bluest of blue.
And CEO of American
I expect
Express
that.
and current chair and managing director of General Catalyst, Ken Chenault.
My fellow Americans, for 17 years, I ran American Express, one of the greatest companies in this country. America has thousands of great companies, more than any other nation in the world. And that's not by accident. The United States is the best place in the world to do business because of the values on which our country was built. Democracy, the rule of law, free and fair elections, the peaceful transfer of power. As a business leader, I have seen firsthand why democracy is so important. Democracy provides the foundation upon which American business and our economy depend. Character and values matter. In business, nothing is more important than trust. In America, we have to trust our president will protect democracy. We have to be certain they'll follow the law and serve the nation, not themselves. Business requires stability and certainty that our democracy will endure. Our economy and democracy are tightly linked. Both only grow stronger when Americans, despite our differences, are willing to work together. At this moment, when our politics pits one group against another, that's what's remarkable about Kamala Harris. She is for all Americans. She understands it's possible, in fact necessary, for a president to be both pro-business and pro-worker. Kamala Harris understands that government must work in partnership with the business community. She knows that a market-based economy needs a strong and effective government. Kamala Harris understands that we need to help entrepreneurs turn good ideas into thriving companies, that we can create good-paying jobs by helping manufacturers expand. Kamala Harris believes in growing the economic pie for the benefit of current and future generations. Unlike her opponent, she knows the way not to build an advanced economy is a broad tariff that would only raise prices, hurt consumers and businesses, and cost jobs. She knows the way not to do it is to give people like me a tax cut.
I think
when that money
I
should
think
be
he's missing the mark.
to
This
grow
wasn't a
the
good
middle
person to have
class.
right here. His speech
If
is
you
okay.
want to lead, you have to be willing to serve. Kamala Harris's vision for the economy serves us all. She has demonstrated throughout her career that she wants to serve all people and wants all Americans to have the opportunity to work to achieve their own share of the American dream. Our economy goes up and down, but the reason America is the strongest nation in the world is because of her commitment to something bigger than ourselves, our commitment to each other, to democracy. That's what this election is about. It's more than a choice between two parties or sets of policies. It's a choice about who we're going to be as a country. In his words and actions, Kamala Harris's opponent has shown us that he does not believe in our democratic values, and he will seek only to serve himself and his desire for vindication and vengeance. Kamala Harris will face the facts. She will navigate this country, the greatest country in the world, through the inevitable challenges, while also leading with the hope and values that America was founded on. Kamala Harris understands that the role of a leader is to instill hope, to repudiate the merchants of fear, and focus on ensuring that the best days are ahead of us. She believes in America, its principles, the hopes and dreams of our people, and the promise of our future. That is why I believe Kamala Harris should be the next president of the United States of America. God bless America.
He was all right. He was all right. That was their attempt to speak to big business and people who aren't here for unions and people who want no parts of what the Democratic Party normally pushes at these conventions. You got and so that was their attempt to have somebody up there that's going to speak to that faction. You know, just in case you got, you know, somebody who's in big business. Let's be clear, he comes from big business. And he's someone who traditionally would vote Republican, would be for, you know, a Donald Trump and other conservative ideologies. So, and I've seen that tonight where there's this push to garner the Nikki Haley Republicans, the Never Trump Republicans, and those individuals who they think they can win over to the
Please welcome
to their side.
Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham.
Now this is the New Mexico governor. I'm curious to hear her. I like that pantsuit.
Good evening, America. I'm Michelle Lujan Grisham, governor of the great state of New Mexico. And in my state, we like things spicy, a little chili on everything, a little kick in our campaigns. And let me tell you, we are feeling en fuego right now. We are fired up to elect Kamala Harris President of the United States. This election is about protecting our democracy and securing our freedoms, including the right to affordable, quality health care. Now, this issue is personal to Vice President Harris, whose mom passed away after a battle with colon cancer. And it's personal to me. At 2 years old, my sister was diagnosed with a tumor that was incurable and made her uninsurable by the time she was 3. And it's personal to Americans across the country who know what it's like when someone they love gets sick. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance want to dismantle our healthcare system, repeal the Affordable Care Act, and eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions. Either these guys don't get it, or they just don't care. You know who gets it? Kamala Harris gets it, and she cares. As Attorney General, she took on drug companies that jacked up prices and hospitals that overcharged patients. And when Republicans tried to kill the Affordable Care Act, she stood up in the Senate, voting not just no, but hell no. And Kamala Harris hasn't just stopped Republicans from making our healthcare system worse. She fights every day to make it better. And I know, I spent 20 years working to get Medicare the ability to negotiate lower drug prices. As Vice President, Kamala Harris delivered it. You know what Donald Trump delivered? Junk plans, higher premiums, and abortion bans. And if you don't think a second term would be worse, then I've got a box of Trump steaks to sell you. We have not just a better choice. America, we have the best choice. Yes, we do.
I'm not impressed so far.
Kamala Harris will protect your right to care. She'll cap drug costs. She'll go after corporate price gougers and ensure every woman who needs it can access reproductive health care. That's the president I want. And that's the president America needs. And with your help, that's the next president of the United States. President Kamala Harris.
I wasn't impressed. I'm just gonna be honest. I was not impressed. And I was looking forward to hearing her.
Y en español, los quiero. So, my mom, like Kamala's mom, got sick. When my mom died in 2021, Kamala called me. She had lost her mother to cancer in 2009. Kamala helped me navigate my grief. She said that heartbreak and loss are the price for having loved and having been loved. How I wish our mothers could be here to see this moment. In the next 4 years, America will invariably have moments of great sadness and pain in our country. Some will be natural disasters. Some will be man-made disasters. We need a president who can not only be commander-in-chief, but also consoler-in-chief. We need a president with empathy, capable of lifting us up when we are down. We need a president who
Didn't we already hear her?
of holding us in a big, great hug when we need it. That is Kamala Harris. Donald Trump is only capable of holding two things, a grudge and a golf club.
But we already heard her. Why was she back up?
I remember when Kamala was first running for district attorney and people were like, oh, I don't know if she's tough enough. And I just had to laugh because I'm like, you don't know my sister.
Why was she up there again?
A hard and tough process.
I have to turn this down because I never know when they're gonna play music on these parts. But why was she
wanted to make sure that murderers and child abusers.
I love Anna, you know, but as much as I can love, you know, people who are for the Republican Party, she's about as close as you're gonna get. But I'm like, ma'am, I think we heard you already. She spoke earlier. How she get to speak again? I'm just asking.
Elected to be district attorney of San Francisco. Kamala knew that we needed
How she get to talk again?
And if hell, no one else was going to do it,
Yeah.
she was going to do it.
If I'm going to keep my promise to you to keep you safe, I better talk with you about what I'm doing in terms of crime prevention.
Yeah.
Investing in people coming out of prisons is the smart thing to do for law.
Anyway, I didn't care for the governor of New Mexico, y'all. The governor of New Mexico disappointed me. I really thought, you know, I was looking forward to her. I had heard some good things about her. Oh, she's the host for the night. She's gonna be like President Fitz was last night. Oh, okay. I didn't know she was the host for the night. Okay, Anna is the MC like Fitz was. Okay, I got you, Miss Cookie Ray. Thank you so much.
Perspective, I think we were concerned about the rise of.
Go to hell, Kamz. Y'all know this bastard Kamz that put in the back chat talk about you're doing a great job. Oh, bastard. Y'all make him feel bad for having me up here by myself. He ain't shit. Ain't shit. Girl. Just don't understand. Why is he taking me through all of this?
We didn't have partnerships with DOJ or FBI or DEA
Lord.
or any of those law enforcement agencies. Now we all work collaboratively to
Jesus.
all the counties in California.
That's what I got to go through. This is what I got to go through, y'all.
These flows of guns, human beings, and narcotics.
I don't understand why we got to go through all of this.
To announce the shutting down of one of the biggest and most organized
Lord.
to the safety of
I really think of her as
Right now, day 2 is okay, but day 2 is not on the early onset, is not living up to day 1. Day 2, once again, is not living up to day 1. Day 1 was real good. Day 2, not so much.
Welcome the Democratic nominee for Senate in Maryland, Angela Alsobrooks.
Now I'm looking forward to Angela. Come on, Angela.
Good evening, America.
I love that white, Angela.
And hello,
That white is
Maryland.
sickening.
People like me. Thank you. People like me, stories like mine, don't usually make it to the United States Senate, but they should. I'm the proud granddaughter of a housekeeper, Sarah Daisy, who raised her 3 children in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Come on now.
It was her dream to work in government to help people. That meant taking a typing test. But she didn't know how to type, and she couldn't afford a typewriter. So she put a white piece of paper on the refrigerator and drew a keyboard on it. And every night, she stood in front of that refrigerator and taught herself to type. She took the test, passed it, and got the job she dreamed of. I am her legacy. And tonight, I am a candidate for United States Senate from the great state of Maryland. I've always been inspired by women like my grandmother, women who imagine a better future and then have the grit to make it a reality. One of those women is a friend, a mentor, and a role model. That woman is Kamala Harris. Let me tell you about the Kamala I've known for 14 years. I first heard about her in 2009 when I was running for state's attorney in Prince George's County, Maryland. I read a story in Essence magazine about a district attorney in San Francisco using new ideas to keep her community safe. Few had a better record prosecuting violent crime. She put rapists, child molesters, and murderers behind bars. But what she knew was that violent crime accounts for about 30% of all crimes. For the 70% that are nonviolent, she created a first-of-its-kind program called Back on Track. After serving time and pleading guilty, these low-level offenders will get the job training, GED help,
and apprenticeships they needed to find a job. The result? The recidivism rate plummeted. Now, after reading about this super bad district attorney, I talked nonstop about her on the campaign trail. 2 days after I won the election, my phone rings. It's Kamala Harris calling to congratulate me and ask how she could help. She helped me bring back on track to Maryland. And wouldn't you know it, crime went down and economic growth went up. Back on track is now a national model. Now Donald Trump says
that makeup is late
Kamala
now.
Harris is elected, tough guys will treat her like a play toy.
That makeup and that hair is laid.
Know who else thought that? The drug cartels she busted, the big oil companies she made pay for polluting, the big banks that she made pay $20 billion to homeowners they ripped off. Getting justice for others isn't a power trip for her. It's a sacred calling. And hear me, Kamala Harris knows how to keep criminals off the streets. And come November, with your help, she'll keep one out of the Oval Office. Ever since Donald Trump rode down that ridiculous escalator, we as a nation have felt trapped. Every national decision has been made in reaction to this one man and his extremist MAGA movement. We are
good so
still
far.
frozen by the fear that Donald Trump might once again come to power.
I do want her to
And it's not
pivot and
just
talk
our
about her
politics
own
that have
race,
been
though.
trapped. It's our imagination. And then Kamala came along. Kamala has reminded us that we don't need to fear anything. Not the future, and certainly not that man. This is our moment to leave Donald Trump where he belongs, in America's past. We stand with Kamala Harris because
Hey,
we
Tanya.
as a country are not going
Child.
back.
Tanya, you gonna have to call me and give me the tea and the updates, Tanya.
For the ancestors who sat at lunch counters and made sure that we all had the right to vote, we are not going back.
I do want her to talk about
For
her
the
race,
mamas
though.
and grandmamas who marched to make sure that women could control our own bodies, we are not going back. For the parents who work from can't see in the morning until can't see at night, not so that they will have a better future, but so that their children will have a better life. We are not going back. When facing an obstacle, my father has often said to me, your faith is stronger than your fears. Tonight, our faith is stronger than our fears. Faith in the promise of America. Faith in the American idea, in the American values.
There's
that
a way
we
to
share.
talk about her
Faith
race
that
and
we,
talk
the
about Kamala at
people,
the same
can
time.
choose a new leader, a better future for the people. Faith that as dark as our days and challenges have sometimes felt, it's always darkest before the dawn. We know that we can endure for a night because joy cometh in the morning. Morning is coming. Morning is coming. And that joy will be led by Kamala Harris. Thank you so much.
There was a way for her to do both of them. She could have easily said all of that and said, when Kamala Harris is elected to president and I elected to the Senate, we will, da. So there's just to remind every now and again the people, hey, I'm running too. I ain't just up here to look good, but I,
Good evening.
have a part in this
I
too.
have a confession to make. I'm a lifelong Republican. So I feel a little out of place tonight, but I feel more at home here than in today's Republican Party.
That was a sickening suit she had on, though. Mama looks sickening now.
The grand old party has been kidnapped by extremists and devolved into a cult. The cult of Donald Trump.
No, that's not Doug.
Trump doesn't know the first thing about public service. Like a child, he acts purely out of self-interest. We all need an adult in the White House, and we've seen what happens when we don't have one. Trump made a lot of lofty promises: unlimited economic growth, American manufacturing reborn, a secure border. Turns out Donald Trump was all talk. He wanted our votes, but he couldn't deliver a thing. But these days, my city of Mesa, Arizona is on the move. I'm going to ribbon cuttings every single week, all because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reached across the aisle and they delivered for my conservative community and countless more across the country. My hero, John McCain, taught us to put country over party. And that's how Vice President Harris and Governor Walz will lead too. I have an urgent message for the majority of Americans who, like me, are in the political middle. John McCain's Republican Party is gone, and we don't owe a damn thing to what's been left behind. So let's turn the page.
Oh, that's
Let's
the
put
mayor of
country
Mesa,
first.
Arizona.
Let's put adults in the room where our country deserves. Thank you.
I think that's the mayor of Mesa, Arizona. He was okay, short and sweet. He was okay. He wasn't bad. But that Miss Also Brooks, baby, she was sickening. Hair was laid. Hair was laid to the gods, and makeup was sickening. Listen, Angela Also Brooks, her speech was good. She had a good speech. Her delivery was well. They had her in a great spot. Like I said, my only criticism of Angela Also Brooks is, and I'm not saying she had to beat us over the head with it, but every now and again at, choice points, remind people, hey, I'm running. Don't forget, this is a Senate race. We need the Senate because remember, Chuck Schumer made sure to tell you, we need the Senate. We need Congress. And so I think there were places, not overbearing, but maybe at the beginning, once or twice in the middle, and then maybe again at the end, remind people that it's not just the presidential race, but we do have to talk about the down ballot races as well, because if she doesn't get the Senate, the House, and the House, I don't know that it's going to be any legislation. Her whole agenda, can we really get it done?
Please welcome Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Come on, green shoes. Please don't let this lady fall. Please, God. Somebody help her. Okay, great. All right, I'm just checking. Lord, I ain't want that lady to fall.
Hello, Chicago. Hello, Chicago. You know,
Was I the only one hoping she ain't fall?
I went to war to
Only
protect
Lee
America's
found out.
rights and freedoms.
Oh, you decided to come back up here,
I take
Cam?
it personally when a 5-time draft-dodging coward like Donald Trump tries to take away tries to take away my rights and freedoms in return, especially when it concerns my daughters. My girls, gamer girl Abigail and queen of the monkey bars, Miley, are everything to me. But they would never have been born without access to reproductive care. Because after 10 years of struggling with infertility, I was only able to have them through the miracle of IVF. But now, Trump's anti-woman crusade has put other Americans' right to have their own families at risk. Because if they win, Republicans will not stop at banning abortion. They will come for IVF next. They'll prosecute doctors. They will shame and spy on women. And if you think that's far-fetched, just look up what happened in Alabama last year. So let me say to every would-be parent, I see you. I'm with you.
They stand on schedule tonight,
and together, in November, we'll send a message to old Cadet Bone Spurs.
Oh, bloop. Call him out. Kamala's husband is next after her.
Stay out of our doctors' offices, and when you're at it, out of the Oval Office too.
Come on, Kappa. I saw that Kappa out beside hat.
My struggle with infertility was
I see
more
you,
painful than any wound I earned on the battlefield. So how dare a convicted felon like Donald Trump treat women seeking health care like they're the ones breaking the law? How dare J.D. Vance criticize childless women on cable news, then vote against legislation that would have actually helped Americans to start families? How dare the GOP endanger the dreams of countless veterans whose combat wounds prevent them from having kids without IVF?
Todd, you ain't miss Obama yet. He's coming up.
For their willingness to serve. It's simple. Every American deserves the right to be called mommy or daddy without being treated like a criminal. Kamala Harris believes that. So let's make some history and elect her in November. God bless America.
All right, Tammy. Now, Tammy, somebody go over there. Help her, please. Because them green shoes, honey. Baby, listen. Somebody should have told her to put on some blue shoes, some black shoes. But them green shoes, baby, I don't know, mama. I'm just glad you stay upright, sweetheart. Dear one, doll baby. Love Bug.
Raised in Jersey, moved to LA when he was 16.
Yeah, Doug Emhoff is next, the vice president's wife. I mean, not her wife, dear God, her husband. Doug Emhoff is next.
They voted him most athletic.
So he is coming up. They moving through tonight. They say we're not gonna be up all night like we was last night with Joseph Robinette, because you got the second gentleman, then you got Michelle, and then you got Barack. So they powering through tonight. We getting up. Hey, we might get up out of here before midnight. God.
When I was in middle school, and that wasn't easy.
So
that's not easy for any kid. But it helped that my parents stayed friends, and we all kept hanging together.
But yeah. So I'm we gonna see what Doug do.
And then he met Kamala, the blind date that would dramatically change all of our lives forever. It was my senior year of high school. Ella and I would laugh watching them fall.
We had work yesterday, and they ain't give a damn about those of us who had work yesterday. They had us up all damn night. Just saying.
Our blended family wasn't used to
Child. You say you fell asleep after Hillary? Child, we was up here all night long. Miss Cookie Ray, we was up all night. Mm-hmm.
It felt like Doug was a bit out of place on Capitol Hill.
So
I thought, what is my goofy dad doing here? But
anyway,
he embraced it.
I'm curious to see what he got to say.
That was tough.
I'm curious to see how he delivers this speech.
To stand by her side, an example of true partnership.
You don't start working till the afternoon. Lucky you.
Myself, and he's inspired me as a new husband.
So
Anyone who really gets close to him knows he's kind, loving, and fiercely protective. I mean, just look at this face.
that's funny.
My dad, the first second gentleman in the history of this nation. He's found his voice around the issues that matter to him.
Anyway,
No choice but to and speak out. There is an epidemic.
I'm curious to hear how this goes. I'm curious to see what he says. I wonder if he's gonna say anything about what's going over across the water, since he is Jewish. I wonder if he's gonna say anything about what's going on over there in Gaza. I'd be curious to see.
First gentleman.
I like the little son narrating everything.
Why we all love him. He's the glue that keeps this family together. We might not look like other families in the White House, but we are ready to represent all families in America.
Well, that's good.
Please welcome my dad, the second gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff.
Come on, Basic Black. Oh, no. We don't want to play the... Oh, God damn it. That's probably going to be the goddamn... If anything gonna give me a copyright, it's probably gonna be that. I don't even know what song that is. God, dear Lord, I don't even know what song that is. It'll be that song that get me a damn copyright claim.
I guess he
have
didn't
to
want me
edit
to
that
give
out.
this speech. He just... Thank you so much. Hello.
The president is the first gentleman. That's why he's not called. He's the top of the totem pole, so he's the first gentleman. He's not called first gentleman. He's called Mr. President.
Blended family up there. I love
But since a
you
woman will be
so
president,
much. Aren't you proud of Cole?
he'll be the she'll be, the first, and so
Special shout out
Waltz's
to my
wife will be
mother.
the second lady, not the first lady.
My mother
Waltz's
is
wife will be the
only
second lady.
person in the whole world who thinks Kamala is the lucky one for marrying me. And to Kamala, who, well, we just saw where she is. She's out on the trail listening to and talking with voters. Honey, I can't wait for you to come back to Chicago because we're having a great time here. I love you so much. I'm so proud of how you're stepping up for all of us. But that's who she is. Wherever she's needed, however she's needed, Kamala rises to the occasion. And she did it for me and our family. And now that the country needs her, she's showing you what we already know. She's ready to lead. She brings both joy and toughness to this task, and she will be a great president we will all be proud of. Now, I'm the son of two Brooklynites, Mike and Barb. They've been together almost 70 years. My dad worked in the shoe business in Manhattan, and he moved our family out to New Jersey. Where's New Jersey? I see you out there. When I was a little kid. And in a lot of ways, I had a typical Jersey suburban childhood. I biked around the neighborhood. I took the bus to Hebrew school. And I rode to Little League practice in the way back of my coach's wood-paneled station wagon. And if we did well, we got to have a Slurpee after.
I don't even know what song that was.
In my neighborhood, everyone left their garage door open. Wherever you ended up at dinner time, that's the family that fed you. Everyone took care of everyone else. And the guys I grew up with are still my best friends. The group chat is active every day, and it's probably blowing up right now, guys. When my dad had to get a new job, we moved across the country to LA. Money was tight. Hey, California.
Oh, New Radicals get what you get. I don't know that song.
Money was tight, so I worked at McDonald's in high school for some extra cash. Not only was I Employee of the Month, but I still have the frame picture, which you just saw.
Come on, Employee of the Month.
And there was a ring, golden arches and all.
My son walks.
And then I waited tables, parked cars. I was working full-time so I could afford to go to college part-time. And thanks to partial scholarships, student loans, and a little help from my dad, I got myself through law school. And I got my first job as a lawyer, which is also where I met the guys in my fantasy football league.
Listen,
And
I got a draft coming up this
a
weekend.
lot has
Fantasy
changed in our
football.
lives since the early 90s, but my team name is still Nirvana. Yes, after the band. I worked hard, and I love being a lawyer. And by the way, I still get to be part of the profession by teaching students at Georgetown Law School. I got married, became a dad to Cole and Ella. Unfortunately, I went through a divorce, but eventually started worrying about how I would make it all work. And that's when something unexpected happened. In 2013, I walked into a contentious client meeting. We worked through the issue, and by the end of the meeting, the now happy client offered to set me up on a blind date, which is how I ended up with Kamala Harris's phone number.
So wait a minute. Your client just said, oh, I got somebody for you? Oh, girl.
People have debated when to call the person you're being set up with. And never in history has anyone suggested 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, that's not the right time.
And yet, that's when I dialed. I got Kamala's voicemail, and I just started rambling.
Like a white guy.
Hey, it's Doug.
Like a white guy.
I'm on my way to an early meeting.
Like a nerdy white guy.
It's Doug. I remember I was trying to grab the words out of the air and just put them back in my mouth. And for what seemed like far too many minutes, I hung up. By the way, Kamala saved that voicemail. And she makes me listen to it on every anniversary.
Oh, wow.
But
that is funny.
Wasn't the only unusual thing about that day. Now, Kamala, who normally would have been working hard at her office, just happened to be waiting at her apartment for a contractor to do some work on her kitchen. I was eating at my desk, which was not a regular occurrence for a busy lawyer like me who appreciated a good business lunch. But that's when she called me back. And we talked for an hour, and we laughed. Well, you know that laugh. I love that laugh. And maybe that counted as our first date. Or maybe it was that Saturday night when I picked her up and told her, buckle up, I'm a really bad driver. Because you can't hide anything from Kamala Harris, so you might as well own it. And as I got to know her better and just fell in love fast, I learned what drives Kamala. And it's what you've seen over these past 4 years, and especially these past 4 weeks. She finds joy in pursuing justice.
She stands up to bullies just like my parents taught me to. And she likes to see people do well, but hates when they're treated unfairly. She believes this work requires a basic curiosity in just how people are doing. Her empathy is
I think this
her
really
strength.
reaches white people. The white people are loving this. Let me tell you something. The white people are loving this across America. They love it all
Over the
parts
past
of this.
decade, Kamala has connected me more deeply to my faith, even though it's not the same as hers. She comes to synagogue with me for high holiday services, and I go to church with her for Easter.
Come on,
Enjoy
Easter.
her mom's chili relleno recipe every Christmas, and she makes a mean brisket for Passover. It brings me right back to my grandmother's apartment in Brooklyn. You know, the one with the plastic-covered couches. But Kamala has fought against anti-Semitism and all forms of hate her whole career. She's the one who encouraged me,
Hey, really,
a second
B.
gentleman, to take up that fight, which is so personal to me. And those of you who belong to blended families know that they can be a little complicated. But as soon as our kids started calling her Mamala,
Come
I
on,
knew we'd be
Mamala.
okay. Ella calls us a three-headed parenting machine. Kamala and Kirsten, thank you both. Thank you both.
How much do you feel if you divorce this
Always
man and now he
putting
about to
your
be the first
family and the
gentleman?
kids first.
I'm just saying.
Now, Cole and Ella's friends knew that when they come over for Sunday dinner with Mamala, it was going to be real talk.
You know
In
Mamala is
between
going to trend on
taking
Twitter.
cooking instructions, they'd have to answer questions about what problem they wanted to solve in the world. They learned that you've always got to be prepared because Kamala is going to prosecute the case. And in the same breath that Cole and Greenlee told us that they were engaged, they asked Kamala to officiate their wedding. And in the same way that she always steps up when it matters, Kamala put so much time into those remarks, and she bound them in a book that matched her dark red dress, and then turned that into a gift for the happy couple. A few days ago, during this incredible time we're going through, there was a brief window when Kamala was back at home. And I saw her sitting on her favorite chair, and in the middle of a wild month, I just hoped that she was having a quiet moment to herself. But then I realized she was on the phone. And of course, my mind went to all the potential crises that the vice president could be dealing with. Was it domestic? Was it foreign? Was it campaign? I could see she was focused, and all I knew was that it must be something important. And it turns out it was. Ella had called her. That's Kamala. That's Kamala. Those kids are her priorities, and that scene was a perfect map of her heart. She's always been there for our children, and I know she'll always be there for yours too. Kamala is a joyful warrior. It's doing for her country what she has always done for the people that she loves. Her passion will benefit all of us when she's our president. And here's the thing about joyful warriors. They're still warriors. And Kamala is as tough as it comes. Just ask the criminals, the global gangsters, and the witnesses before the Senate Judiciary Committee. She never runs from a fight. And she knows the best way to deal with a coward is to take him head on. Because we all know cowards are weak, and Kamala Harris can smell weakness. She doesn't tolerate any BS. You've all seen that look, and you know that look I'm talking about. That look is not just a meme. It reflects her true belief in honest and direct leadership. And it's also why she will not be distracted by nonsense. Kamala knows that in order to win, we cannot lose focus. America, in this election, you have to decide who to trust with your family's future. I trusted Kamala with our family's future. It was the best decision I ever made. This Thursday will be our 10th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Which I know it means I'm about to hear that embarrassing voicemail again. However, that's not all I'll be hearing. That same night, I'll be hearing my wife, Kamala Harris, accept your nomination for President of the United States. And with
Well, that's
your
good.
help, she will lead with joy and toughness, with that laugh and that look, with compassion and conviction. She'll lead from the belief that wherever we come from, whatever we look like, we're strongest when we fight for what we believe in, not just against what we fear. Kamala Harris was exactly the right person for me at an important moment in my life. And at this moment in our nation's history, she is exactly the right president. Thank you so much.
That's good. That was a great speech, Doug. Great speech. Hit all of the talking points and made Kamala human. It gave the human side to her. Spoke to her humanity. Gave people, stories, tangible stories that they can hold on to. The Mamala certainly will trend. That story about saving the voicemail, that will trend. That was a great speech
Please
by
welcome
Doug.
former First Lady Michelle Obama.
Come on, Michelle. Come on, Michelle. Yes. Come on, arms. Yes. Come on, braids. Sickening. Yes. Give it to the people, Michelle. Come on, ponytail. Yes. Michelle. Give us life abundant. Come on now. Yes. Come on, Michelle. I live, Michelle.
Thank you, guys.
We love our forever First Lady. Child.
Okay. We got a big night ahead. Thank you all so much.
Come on, Michelle. We live. Y'all know we live for Michelle now. This is a great way to wrap up the night. Doug,
Hello,
Michelle,
Chicago.
then Barack.
Yeah. All right. Something wonderfully magical is in the air, isn't it? Yeah.
Come on, Edges, Michelle.
We're feeling it here in this arena, but it's spreading all across this country we love. A familiar feeling that's been buried too deep for far too long. You know what I'm talking about. It's the contagious power of hope.
She did say,
The
she did
anticipation,
really be.
the energy, the exhilaration of once again
Yeah, that
being
dress is
on
sickening.
the cusp of a brighter day. The chance to vanquish the demons of fear, division, and hate that have consumed us and continue pursuing
Come on,
the
earrings.
unfinished promise of this great nation, the dream that our parents and grandparents fought and died and sacrificed for. America, hope is making a comeback. Yeah. But to be honest, I am realizing that until recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings, that deep pit in my stomach, a palpable sense of dread about the future. And for me, that mourning has also been mixed with my own personal grief. The last time I was here in my hometown was to memorialize my mother, the woman who showed me the meaning of hard work and humility and decency, the woman who set my moral compass high and showed me the power of my own voice. Folks,
come on, Michelle. Come on, Lashes.
I still feel her loss so profoundly. I wasn't even sure if I'd be steady enough to stand before you tonight, but my heart compelled me to be here because of the sense of duty that I feel to honor her memory and to remind us all not to squander the sacrifices our elders made to give us a better future. You see, my mom, in her steady, quiet way, lived out that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity. She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning. So my mother volunteered at the local school. She always looked out for the other kids on the block. She was glad to do the thankless, unglamorous work that for generations has strengthened the fabric of this nation. The belief that if you do unto others, if you love thy neighbor, if you work and scrape and sacrifice, it will pay off. If not for you, then maybe for your children or your grandchildren. You see, those values have been passed on through family farms and factory towns, through tree-lined streets and crowded tenements, through prayer groups and National Guard units and social studies classrooms. Those were the values my mother poured into me until her very last breath. Kamala Harris and I built our lives on those same foundational values. Even though our mothers grew up an ocean apart, they shared the same belief in the promise of this country. That's why her mother moved here from India at 19. It's why she taught Kamala about justice, about the obligation to lift others up, about our responsibility to give more than we take.
You better speak to the people, Michelle.
She'd often tell her daughter, don't sit around and complain about things. Do something. So, with that voice in her head, Kamala went out and she worked hard in school, graduating from an HBCU.
Talk about it.
Her law degree at a state school. And then she went on to work for the people, fighting to hold lawbreakers accountable, strengthening the rule of law, fighting to get folks better wages, cheaper prescription drugs, a good education, decent health care, child care, elder care. From a middle-class household, Kamala worked her way up to become Vice President of the United States of America.
Speak to the people.
Kamala Harris is more than ready for this moment. She is one of the most qualified people ever to seek the office of the presidency. And she is one of the most dignified. A tribute to her mother, to my mother, and to your mother too.
I know that's right.
The embodiment of the stories we tell ourselves about this country. Her story is your story. It's my story. It's the story of the vast majority of Americans trying to build a better life. Look, Kamala knows, like we do, that regardless of where you come from, what you look like, who you love, how you worship, or what's in your bank account, we all deserve the opportunity to build a decent life.
This is how you speak to the people. This is how you speak to the people. This is how you speak to the people.
Because
speak a word.
No one has a monopoly on what it means to be an American. No one.
Speak a word, preacher. This is how you speak to the people.
Kamala has shown her allegiance to this nation, not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors of opportunity open to others. She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit
from
the affirmative action of generational wealth.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. You better talk to the people.
If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance. If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top. No. We put our heads down. We get to work. In America, we do something. And throughout her entire life, that's what we've seen from Kamala Harris. The steel of her spine, the steadiness of her upbringing, the honesty of her example, and yes, the joy of her laughter and her light.
This is a speech.
It couldn't be more obvious. Of the two major candidates in this race, only Kamala Harris truly understands the unseen labor and unwavering commitment that has always made America great. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth.
Come on now.
My husband and I sadly know a little something about this.
Talk to her.
For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black.
You better talk to the people tonight, cop. Talk to the people tonight, forever First Lady Michelle Obama. Tell the people about it. Talk to them about it.
I want to know, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
Well, then there's that. This is how you deliver a speech. This is what we came to see. This is what we've been waiting for.
Same old con. His same old con. Doubling down on ugly, misogynistic, racist lies as a substitute for real ideas and solutions that will actually make people's lives better. Look, because cutting our health care, taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did, those things are not going to improve the health outcomes of our wives, mothers, and daughters. Shutting down the Department of Education, banning our books, none of that will prepare our kids for the future. Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love. Look, that doesn't make anybody's life better.
That suit is sickening, Michelle. I'm sorry.
Instead, it only makes us small. And let me tell you this, going small is never the answer. Going small is the opposite of what we teach our kids. Going small is petty, it's unhealthy, and quite frankly, it's unpresidential.
I just need an organ with Twinkie Clark behind it, and she could take me on the glory.
Anyone seeking our highest office, why would we normalize that type of backward leadership? Doing so only demeans and cheapens our politics. It only serves to further discourage good, big-hearted people from wanting to get involved at all. America, our parents taught us better than that, and we deserve so much better than that. That's why we must do everything in our power to elect two of those good, big-hearted people. There is no other choice than Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. No other choice.
This is why people want her to run. This is why people want keeps clamoring for Michelle to run. This is why.
As we embrace this renewed sense of hope, let us not forget the despair we have felt. Let us not forget what we are up against. Yes, Kamala and Tim are doing great now. We're loving it. They're packing arenas across the country. Folks are energized. We are feeling good. But remember, there are still so many people who are desperate for a different outcome, who are ready to question and criticize every move Kamala makes, who are eager to spread those lies, who don't want to vote for a woman.
It's so effortless for her.
Who prioritize building their wealth over ensuring that everyone has enough. So no matter how good we feel tonight or tomorrow or the next day, this is going to be an uphill battle. So folks, we cannot be our own worst enemies. No. See, because the minute something goes wrong, the minute a lie takes hold, folks, we cannot start wringing our hands. We cannot get a Goldilocks complex about whether everything is just right. And we cannot indulge our anxieties about whether this country will elect someone like Kamala instead of doing everything we can to get someone like Kamala elected. Kamala and Tim, they have lived amazing lives. And I am confident that they will lead with compassion, inclusion, and grace. But they are still only human. They are not perfect.
Talk to them. Talk to the people.
All of us, they will make mistakes. But luckily, y'all, this is not just on them. No, this is up to us, all of us, to be the solution that we seek. It's up to all of us to be the antidote to the darkness and division. Look, I don't care how you identify politically, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or none of the above. This is our time to stand up for what we know in our hearts is right.
Notice she hasn't had to yell yet, like some people yell. It's so effortless.
Stand up, not just for our basic freedoms, but for decency and humanity, for basic respect, dignity, and empathy, for the values at the very foundation of this democracy. It's up to us to remember what Kamala's mother told her. Don't just sit around and complain, do something. So if they lie about her, and they will, we've got to do something. if we see a bad poll, and we will, we got to put down that phone and do something. If we start feeling tired, if we start feeling that dread creeping back in, we got to pick ourselves up, throw water on our face, and what?
There go Justin.
We only have 2.5 months, y'all, to get this done. Only 11 weeks to make sure every single person we know is registered and has a voting plan. So we cannot afford for anyone,
call to action.
anyone America to sit on their hands and wait to be called. Don't complain if no one from the campaign has specifically reached out to you to ask you for your support. There is simply no time for that kind of foolishness.
Come on now.
You know what you need to do. So, consider this to be your official ask. Michelle Obama is asking you, no, I'm telling y'all to do something.
Hey, Demetria.
Because you all, this election is going to be close. In some states, just a handful, listen to me, a handful of votes in every precinct could decide the winner. So we need to vote in numbers that erase any doubt. We need to overwhelm any effort to suppress us. Our fate is in our hands. In 77 days, we have the power to turn our country away from the fear, division, and smallness of the past. We have the power to marry our hope with our action. We have the power to pay forward the love, sweat, and sacrifice of our mothers and fathers and all those who came before us. We did it before, y'all, and we sure can do it again. Let us work like our lives depend on it. And let us keep moving our country forward and go higher, yes, always higher than we've ever gone before as we elect the next president and vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Thank you all. God bless.
Listen, easily one of the best speeches I've heard in the last 8 years, without a doubt. Easily. Easily.
That was the best.
Now,
Oh my God.
Before I go, I have one more job tonight. Yeah, one more job. You all, thank you for all the love, but it is now my honor to introduce somebody who knows a whole lot about hope. Someone who has spent his life strengthening our democracy.
Hey, so
and let me
Jeff.
tell you, as someone who lives with him, he wakes up every day, and thinks about what's best for this country. Please welcome America's 44th president and the love of my life, Barack Obama.
How do you follow that? How? I mean, I love you, Barack, but bruh, how do you? That's our president and our first lady. I love black love. This the kind of shit we need.
That's what he just said. I'm supposed to follow that.
Right, Michelle. This is black love. This is our president and our vice. You heard me say vice president and our first lady forever. How do you follow that? Oh my God! Oh, the feeling is euphoric. Oh, this is what we've been waiting for.
My eyes are leaking.
Did you hear Michelle? Oh dear
My
God!
eyes have been leaking for like the last 20 minutes.
Easily the best speech I've heard in the last 8 years, at least. easily.
Thank you, thank you.
Jesus, how do you follow that, Barack?
Thank you. Thank you. All right. That's enough. Thank you.
They're not gonna let you go, Barack. It's gonna take a little minute.
Chicago, it's good to be home. It is good to be home, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling fired up.
Ready to go. Ready to go.
And ready to go.
I am feeling ready to go. Even if I am the only person stupid enough to speak after Michelle Obama.
Right.
I am feeling hopeful because this convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where anything is possible. Because we have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. Someone who sees you and hears you and will get up every single day and fight for you. The next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. It's been 16 years since I had the honor of accepting this party's nomination for president. And I know that's hard to believe because I have not aged a bit. But it's true. And looking back, I can say without question that my first big decision as your nominee turned out to be one of my best. And that was asking Joe Biden to serve by my side as vice president. Other than some common Irish blood, Joe and I come from different backgrounds, but we became brothers. And as we worked together for 8, sometimes pretty tough years, what I came to admire most about Joe wasn't just his smarts, his experience. It was his empathy and his decency and his hard-earned resilience, his unshakable belief that everyone in this country deserves a fair shot. And over the last 4 years, those are the values America has needed most. At a time when millions of our fellow citizens were sick and dying, we needed a leader with the character to put politics aside and do what was right. At a time when our economy was reeling, we needed a leader with the determination to drive what would become the world's strongest recovery. 15 million jobs, higher wages, lower health care costs. At a time when the other party had turned into a cult of personality, we needed a leader who was steady and brought people together and was selfless enough to do the rarest thing there is in politics, putting his own ambition aside for the sake of the country. History will remember Joe Biden as an outstanding president who defended democracy at a moment of great danger. And I am proud to call him my president, but I am even prouder to call him my friend.
Hey, Hey, Malcolm Kenyatta.
Now,
That's his husband right there. That's his husband.
the torch has been passed. Now it is up to all of us to fight for the America we believe in. And make no mistake, it will be a fight. For all the incredible energy we've been able to generate over the last few weeks, for all the rallies and the memes, this will still be a tight race in a closely divided country. A country where too many Americans are still struggling. Where a lot of Americans don't believe government can help. And as we gather here tonight, the people who will decide this election are asking a very simple question. Who will fight for me? Who's thinking about my future, about my children's future, about our future together? One thing is for certain, Donald Trump is not losing sleep over that question.
Talk to the people.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala. There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
Wow. Good. Wow. Then there's that.
It just goes on and on and on. The other day I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day. Now, from a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous. The truth is, Donald Trump sees power as nothing more than it means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut that would mostly help him and his rich friends. He killed a bipartisan immigration deal written in part by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress that would have helped secure our southern border because he thought trying to actually solve the problem would hurt his campaign. He doesn't. Do not boo. Vote.
Where have we heard that before?
He doesn't seem to care if more women lose their reproductive freedom since it won't affect his life. And most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the real Americans, who of course support him, and the outsiders who don't. And he wants you to think that you'll be richer and safer if you will just give him the power to put those other people back in their place. It is one of the oldest tricks in politics from a guy whose act has, let's face it, gotten pretty stale. We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse.
This is interesting.
Look at my dog
America's ready for a
Cheeto.
new chapter. America's ready for a better story. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris is ready for the job. This is a person who has spent her life fighting on behalf of people who need a voice and a champion. As you heard from Michelle, Kamala was not born into privilege. She had to work for what she's got. And she actually cares about what other people are going through. She's not the neighbor running the leaf blower. She's the neighbor rushing over to help when you need a hand. As a prosecutor, Kamala stood up for children who had been victims of sexual abuse. As an attorney general of the most populous state in the country, she fought big banks and for-profit colleges, securing billions of dollars for the people they had scammed. After the home mortgage crisis, she pushed me and my administration hard to make sure homeowners got a fair settlement. Didn't matter that I was a Democrat. Didn't matter that she had knocked on doors for my campaign in Iowa. She was going to fight to get as much relief as possible for the families who deserved it. As vice president, she helped take on the drug companies to cap the cost of insulin, lower the cost of health care, give families with kids a tax cut. And she is running for president with real plans to lower costs even more and protect Medicare and Medicaid and sign a law to guarantee every woman's right to make her own health care decisions. In other words, Kamala Harris won't be focused on her problems. She'll be focused on yours. As president, she won't just cater to her own supporters and punish those who refuse to kiss the ring or bend the knee. She'll work on behalf of every American. That's who Kamala is. And in the White House, she will have an outstanding partner in Governor Tim Walz. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I love this guy. Tim is the kind of person who should be in politics. Born in a small town, served his country, taught kids, coached football, took care of his neighbors. He knows who he is, and he knows what's important. You can tell those flannel shirts he wears don't come from some political consultant. They come from his closet, and they have been through some stuff. They have been through some stuff. That's right. Together, Kamala and Tim.
She was like, you can have that.
Okay.
A story that says we are all created equal. All of us endowed with certain inalienable rights, that everyone deserves a chance, that even when we don't agree with each other, we can find a way to live with each other. That's Kamala's vision. That's Tim's vision. That's the Democratic Party's vision. And our job over the next 11 weeks is to convince as many people as possible to vote for that vision. Now, it won't be easy. The other side knows. It's easier to play on people's fears and cynicism, always has been. They will tell you that government is inherently corrupt.
that sacrifice and generosity are for suckers. And since the game is rigged, it's okay to take what you want and just look after your own. That's the easy path. We have a different task. Our job is to convince people that democracy can actually deliver. And in doing that, we can't just point to what we've already accomplished. We can't just rely on the ideas of the past. We need to chart a new way forward to meet the challenges of today. And Kamala understands this. She knows, for example, that if we want to make it easier for more young people to buy a home, we need to build more units and clear away some of the outdated laws and regulations that made it harder to build homes for working people in this country. That is a priority, and she's put out a bold new plan to do just that. On health care, we should all be proud of the enormous progress that we've made through the Affordable Care Act, providing millions of people access to affordable coverage, protecting millions more from unscrupulous insurance practices. I noticed, by the way, that since it's become popular, they don't call
Really,
it
be they say you have an echo. Hey, Derek.
But Kamala knows we can't stop there, which is why she'll keep working to limit out-of-pocket costs. Kamala knows that if we want to help people get ahead, we need to put a college degree within reach of more Americans. But she also knows college shouldn't be the only ticket to the middle class. We need to follow the lead of governors like Tim Walz, who said, if you've got the skills and the drive, you shouldn't need a degree to work for state government. And in this new economy, we need a president who actually cares about the millions of people all across this country who wake up every single day to do the essential, often thankless work, to care for our sick, to clean our streets, to deliver our packages. We need a president who will stand up for their right to bargain for better wages and working conditions. And Kamala will be that president. Yes, she can. Yes, she can. A Harris-Walz administration can help us move past some of the tired old debates that keep stifling progress. Because at their core, Kamala and Tim understand that when everybody gets a fair shot, we are all better off. They understand that when every child gets a good education, the whole economy gets stronger. When women are paid the same as men for doing the same job, all families benefit.
This is interesting.
That we can secure our borders without tearing kids away from their parents. Just like we can keep our streets safe while also building trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve and eliminating bias. That will make it better for everybody. Donald Trump and his well-heeled donors, they don't see the world that way. For them, one group's gains is necessarily another group's loss. For them, freedom means that the powerful can do pretty much what they please, whether it's fire workers trying to organize a union or put poison in our rivers or avoid paying taxes like everybody else has to do. Well, we have a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide for your family if you're willing to work hard. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water and send your kids to school without worrying if they'll come home. We believe that true freedom gives each of us the right to make decisions about our own life, how we worship, what our family looks like, how many kids we have, who we marry. And we believe that freedom requires us to recognize that other people have the freedom to make choices that are different than ours. That's okay. That's the America Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believe in. An America where we, the people, includes everyone. Because that's the only way this American experiment works. And despite what our politics might suggest, I think most Americans understand that. Democracy isn't just a bunch of abstract principles and dusty laws in some book somewhere. It's the values we live by. It's the way we treat each other, including those who don't look like us, or pray like us, or see the world exactly like we do. That sense of mutual respect has to be part of our message. Our politics have become so polarized these days that all of us across the political spectrum seem so quick to assume the worst in others, unless they agree with us on every single issue. We start thinking that the only way to win is to scold and shame and out-yell the other side. And after a while, regular folks just tune out, or they don't bother to vote. Now, that approach may work for the politicians who just want attention and thrive on division, but it won't work for us. To make progress on the things we care about, the things that really affect people's lives, we need to remember that we've all got our blind spots and contradictions and prejudices, and that if we want to win over those who aren't yet ready to support our candidates, we need to listen to their concerns and maybe learn something in the process. After all, if a parent or grandparent occasionally says something that makes us cringe, we don't automatically assume they're bad people. We recognize that the world is moving fast, that they need time and maybe a little encouragement to catch up. Our fellow citizens deserve the same grace we hope they'll extend to us. That's how we can build a true Democratic majority, one that can get things done. And by the way, that does not just matter to the people in this country. The rest of the world is watching to see if we can actually pull this off. No nation, no society has ever tried to build a democracy as big and as diverse as ours before. One that includes people that over decades have come from every corner of the globe. One where our allegiances and our community are defined not by race or blood, but by a common creed. And that's why when we uphold our values, the world's a little brighter. When we don't, the world's a little dimmer. And dictators and autocrats feel emboldened. And over time, we become less safe. We shouldn't be the world's policemen. and we can't eradicate every cruelty and injustice in the world. But America can be and must be a force for good, discouraging conflict, fighting disease, promoting human rights, protecting the planet from climate change, defending freedom, brokering peace. That's what Kamala Harris believes, and so do most Americans.
This is interesting. I can't wait to break this down.
I know these ideas can feel pretty naive right now. We live in a time of such confusion and rancor, with a culture that puts a premium on things that don't last. Money, fame, status, likes. We chase the approval of strangers on our phones. We build all manner of walls and fences around ourselves, and then we wonder why we feel so alone. We don't trust each other as much because we don't take the time to know each other. And in that space between us, politicians and algorithms teach us to caricature each other and troll each other and fear each other. But here's the good news, Chicago. All across America, in big cities and small towns, away from all the noise, the ties that bind us together are still there. We still coach Little League and look out for our elderly neighbors. We still feed the hungry in churches and mosques and synagogues and temples. We share the same pride when our Olympic athletes compete for the gold. Because the vast majority of us do not want to live in a country that's bitter and divided. We want something better. We want to be better. And the joy and the excitement that we're seeing around this campaign tells us we're not alone. You know, I've spent a lot of time thinking about these past few months because, as Michelle mentioned, this summer we lost her mom, Ms. Marion Robinson. And I don't know that anybody has ever loved their mother-in-law any more than I love mine. Mostly it's because she was funny and wise and the least pretentious person I knew. That, and she always defended me with Michelle when I messed up. I'd hide behind her. But I also think one of the reasons Mary and I became so close was she reminded me of my grandmother, the woman who helped raise me as a child. And on the surface, the two of them did not have a lot in common. One was a black woman from right here, south side of Chicago, right down the way. Went to Englewood High School. The other was a little old white lady born in a tiny town called Peru, Kansas. Now, I know there aren't that many people from Peru. And yet they shared a basic outlook on life. They were strong, smart, resourceful women, full of common sense, who, regardless of the barriers they encountered, and women growing up in the 40s and 50s and 60s, they encountered barriers. They still went about their business without fuss or complaint and provided an unshakable foundation of love for their children and their grandchildren. In that sense, they both represented an entire generation of working people who, through war and depression, discrimination and limited opportunity, helped build this country. A lot of them toiled every day at jobs that were often too small for them and didn't pay a lot. They willingly went without just to keep a roof over the families' heads, just to give their children something better. But they knew what was true. They knew what mattered. Things like honesty and integrity, kindness and hard work. They weren't impressed with braggarts or bullies. They didn't think putting other people down lifted you up or made you strong. They didn't spend a lot of time obsessing about what they didn't have. Instead, they appreciated what they did. They found pleasure in simple things. A card game with friends, a good meal, and laughter around the kitchen table. Helping others. And most of all, seeing their children do things and go places that they would have never imagined for themselves. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican or somewhere in between, we have all had people like that in our lives. People like Kamala's parents, who crossed oceans because they believed in the promise of America. People like Tim's parents, who taught him about the importance of service. Good, hard-working people who weren't famous or powerful, but who managed in countless ways to leave this country just a little bit better than they found it. As much as any policy or program, I believe that's what we yearn for. A return to an America where we work together and look out for each other. A restoration of what Lincoln called, on the eve of Civil War, our bonds of affection. An America that taps what he called the better angels of our nature. That is what this election is about. And I believe that's why if we each do our part over the next 77 days, if we knock on doors, if we make phone calls, if we talk to our friends, if we listen to our neighbors, if we work like we've never worked before, if we hold firm to our convictions, we will elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States and Tim Walz as the next vice president of the United States. We will elect leaders up and down the ballot who will fight for the hopeful, forward-looking America we all believe in, and together we too will build a country that is more secure and more just, more equal, and more free. So let's get to work. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Now this was interesting. Very, very interesting. And I thought the last three speeches were all three awesome in their own way. I think everybody did what they were supposed to do. You had Doug Emhoff, who came and he you had Doug Emhoff who came and humanized Kamala and made people, understand she's not just this robot or this, person on television, but made her human. You had, to me, that's what Doug's angle was. You had Michelle, who spoke beautifully, and spoke to the average American person. Michelle went and she spoke to just the average American, gave you and talked to you about what it is to be, gave you just that sense of hope that, okay, I don't have to feel, bad, gave you a call to action. She spoke to the everyday American. And Barack came at it with a more surgical way. He came at it from someone who sat in that seat and knows what it takes. And he's a little different from the Barack that we had in 2008. He's the Barack that's been there and knows I can't just tap into your emotion, but I got to talk about the fact that this is, I got to be a little more strategic and surgical with what's at stake, which is why you heard him talk a lot about Donald Trump. You heard him talk a lot about the American experience. You heard him talk about what Kamala can do. I don't know, really be commentary you have.
Do I still have an echo? I do.
I don't really hear. Wait, hold on. It may be.
Let me try to figure out.
It might be. Say something.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't hear as much echo. I certainly don't hear.
Do you have the echo cancellation off?
Oh, I did have it off. Hold on. I did turn it off. My bad. Because I was trying to get the audio. There we go.
Okay, can you hear? How do I sound now?
Yeah, that sounds better. It probably was the fact that I had the echo cancellation off.
So here's what I feel, right? Here's when you kept saying this is interesting, I thought you were going to say what I was thinking, and you sort of did a little bit, right? Oh, now I'm blurry. Here's what I heard tonight. Damn it, I'm so blurry. Okay. Don't worry about my blur. Y'all can hear me. I feel like we're seeing the Michelle and Barack that could let their guard down. They didn't have to say the right thing. They didn't have to play the when they go low, we go high card. Like Michelle was coming boom. Like she was dropping bombs, right? And Barack sort of dropped a few too. He kind of, and I don't think that's not the Michelle and Barack that we would have, that we, like you said, that's not the Michelle and Barack we got in 2008. There's nothing wrong with it because they're in a different role now.
It was actually the opposite in 2008. Michelle would usually be the more measured and reserved, and Barack would, tap into, the emotion, and now it's the complete opposite. To me,
right?
In my estimation.
And the thing is, but I'm okay with that because they're in a different role now. They're here in a different capacity. Like I'm okay with. Let me just, this blur is bothering me. Let me just turn my camera off. But I'm okay with that because again, they're in a different position. They don't have to be the perfect. Oh, we know we're leading the country, so we can't let y'all know how much Donald Trump irritates us, just like he irritates y'all. Like we can't let y'all know. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we got a glimpse into their private conversations tonight. I feel like we got a glimpse into how they really be talking to each other about this nigga. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I felt. I'm gonna say this. I'm with you. Like, first of all, and I gotta go to bed. But y'all, and El Teddy, you're a lot more critical than I am. So you tell me if you feel the same way I feel. So far, I think the Democrats are putting on a hell of a show.
Absolutely.
They are putting on a hell of a show. They are doing, in the words of La Roche, they are doing what needs to be done. They are putting on a show. They are hitting hard on certain points. And the one thing that I absolutely love that Michelle said tonight, well, she said a lot that I love, but one of the things she said that I love was she said, listen, they don't have to be perfect. They're not going to be. They're going to make mistakes.
I thought you were going to say that because that's the part that I liked.
Yeah. They're going to make mistakes. They're not going to be perfect. She said, and at the end of the day, I still need y'all to get your asses out there and vote. I still need y'all to show up.
Yep. And it was something she said. I can't remember the exact wording, but she said something to the effect of, you don't have to agree with them on every situation. You don't have to, they don't have to. It was something she said. It was a reference she made. I can't remember it right now. God, it just escapes me. And it was beautifully done.
I just love that she was like, listen, they're going to make mistakes. Like, they're not perfect, but basically she was like, but consider the alternative. Like, I don't want y'all to get so caught up in their perfection and don't lose this moment. And you know what else I loved? Because her and Barack both did it. I loved how they kept going back to, we don't have a lot of time. Michelle said it 3 different ways. She talked about how many days, she talked about how many months, and she talked about how many weeks. Like, let me break this down for y'all so y'all understand. This shit ain't long. We ain't got a lot of time for this. And Barack did it too. I've just been so impressed. Like I said, last night I cried. Tonight I cried, and I ain't
just
no
a crying soul, just a crying
I'm not a big crier. But when Jasmine Crockett told us, and when she got choked up yesterday, I got choked up, and because it was real, because it was so real. It was that was just
Hey,
a
the
real
Tea Lounge.
Hey, Tea Lounge, boo. Hey, Ty. Hey, boo. Mwah.
Oh dear God.
So I gotta get to New York. The next, you know what? I'm gonna get to New York to see Ty.
Here's the deal. I think that people. Well, I'm gonna tell you what's about to happen on the all of the pundits on CNN, MSNBC, and all of the other places. They're gonna focus on the fact that there's a known rift that was going on in the Democratic Party before a few weeks ago when this first happened, saying that Barack did not necessarily want Kamala. They're going to speak to the fact that a lot of his speech didn't center around Kamala, but I don't think that he needed to do that. He came at it from a different perspective that was needed, not just to talk about just the necessity of having Kamala there, but really putting into scope what's really at stake. Because sometimes, unless you sit there in that seat, and I think to a certain degree, he was speaking to Kamala as well, to Kamala and Tim as well, to let them know really the totality of what's really at stake, which you only get when you have sat in that particular seat and in that chair. So there wasn't and he spoke to and about Kamala as needed. I love how he talked about his mother-in-law, his grandmother, and Kamala's mother, and so there was that connection there. It was all very well written. They came at it from 2 different angles, and so and Barack at the end, did what Barack does. He knows how to drive it on in and drive it home as well. So he did all of the things that needed to be done. But like I said about Michelle, the difference is Michelle is grace. Michelle is effortless in it. She is grace. She don't have to yell. She don't have to scream. Michelle can sit there flat-footed, looking good, and deliver and touch your soul like none other. You'll be very hard pressed to find speeches. I wish I was back in my AP English class, because I would have printed out the transcripts of both Michelle and Barack's speeches and had whole rhetorical analyses done in my class, or both. Baby, we would have been breaking it down by every word, syllable, letter, and character of every speech. We would have broke that back. We would have broke them bad boys down. I still might do it because that's the nerd in me. But
listen, I'm with you, and see, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I remember when the official announcement was made, right? And everybody was waiting for Barack and Michelle to endorse. And remember, they didn't endorse at first. They just said, "Thank you, Joe, for your service," basically. And everybody was like, "Oh, they haven't." I said, "He will. Listen, he's gonna do what's right for the party, but right now, him and Joe are friends in real life. And so he is going to give Joe his flowers. He is going to give Joe his grace and respect as president. And then he will endorse, which is what he did. It only took, 2 days he endorsed. But of course, that 2 days, that was enough time, like you said, for the pundits to have all sorts of. And he did the same thing tonight. He gave Joe his flowers because that's his friend in real life. And I think he probably more than maybe outside of his wife, he probably knew more than anybody what this sacrifice was for Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can appreciate, I feel the same way. I agree with you with that too. I appreciate that he did take the time in the speech to give not just his running mate, but his friend and the president of the United States his flowers. And then you're right. But you're right. They're going to focus on that, even though the majority of his speech was about where we are now. But yeah, the first, I don't know the breakdown, but maybe 7 to 10 minutes, But hell, he talked for 20, 25, shit.
About 30.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like he talked longer about Kamala and where we are now. But of course, like you said, that's what they do. That's their job.
That's what they do. That's what they get paid to do.
Right.
Here's something that I will say, and I'm gonna watch for this tonight and in the morning. If Van Jones' black ass ain't somewhere on CNN crying tonight, but he be crying when Donald Trump and all of these other people got something to say. But I've been canceled Van Jones because he love to be crying and shit. He better be over there on CNN with snot bubbles running down his face. I'm telling you, I can't stand Van Jones. Get on my damn nerves.
Van Jones sort of lost me a few years ago, so it is what it is. But Michelle was flawless. I don't give a fuck. She looked flawless. She sounded flawless. Her speech was flawless. Her message was flawless. Bitch, she should have. That's the song she should have came out to. And I ain't even no Beyonce fan, but baby, that's the song she should have came out to. Was flawless because everything about her tonight was fucking flawless. I'm
that
sorry.
Fucking pantsuit she had on was bad.
Excuse me, Michelle. Can you please hook Jill up with whoever be hooking you up? Cause bitch.
Okay, cause Jill looked a damn mess. A damn mess.
Baby, wait a minute, El Teddy, and you'll get this, and I know a lot of y'all in here will get it till they go so Jeff with them damn bees. Listen, I know you'll get it. Did you see all the memes today about Hillary's bob? Baby, yeah. They was like, "Oh, we know Hillary meant business. She showed up in the bob, and they did the side by side to her back in the day bob." Bitch,
I like Hillary with that long bob. I didn't like her with the shortcut where she was running.
Love her with that bob,
but that long bob, yeah, God, yes, ma'am, yes, God.
You better come on with the throwback to the bob. You better go ahead. When I saw those memes this morning, I said the damn internet is unfucking defeated.
But yeah, that speech, like I said, Barack Obama's speech was great, but the speech of the night was absolutely Michelle's. That speech Michelle Obama gave will be talked about.
Listen, quiet as it's kept and loud as it is, she might have stole the whole damn convention. Because I don't know if anybody, including Kamala, can I don't know.
I don't know how you top that. I don't know how, and what made it so sickening was you gonna hear other people hoop, holler, yell, scream, da. Michelle ain't have to do none of that. Mama sat there gracefully.
First of all,
gave you the business.
First of all, and when Michelle was ready to speak and they kept clapping and she hit them with the I said, "Come on, Black Mama, getting us together." I said, "Come on, Black Mama, getting us together."
No, when she told Donald Trump, because you're trying to get elected to a black job, I said, "Well, Then there's that.
Baby, wasn't that listen, that was a drop mic moment.
Was.
That was a drop mic moment. Do you hear me?
Listen, Michelle came with it. Mama came with it. She
And
was
you know what
not
else I
playing.
love? I love how she popped everybody's hand who probably been complaining behind the scenes about not getting called and not being invited to the party. She said, listen, consider this your invitation, damn it. Ain't nobody got time. We don't have
Right,
time.
we got time to be, stroking your ego, rubbing your back, and all of this. Baby, we don't have this type of time.
We got what they say. We got 77 days to get this shit done. Ain't nobody got time
Exactly
to be
11
stroking you.
weeks.
Ain't nobody got time to be stroking your ego, man. So listen, here's your invitation. Show the fuck up, okay? That's what I need you to do. Yeah,
And
I thought last night was a great night. I thought tonight was a great night, and I want to hear Waltz because I love him too. I love him.
I believe it or not, I'm looking forward to hearing what Bill got to say tomorrow. What Bill gonna say?
Child, Bill, what? Listen, I don't care what nobody say. I love me some Bill.
I love me some Bill.
I don't know what he gonna say, but I love me some Bill. But you know who Waltz reminds me of, as far as he just let whatever the fuck he thinking come out his mouth? Joe Biden.
Well,
you know how many times Joe Biden put his foot in his mouth?
Yeah, that he does.
But I don't think Walls will be as bad. But I definitely think we're gonna have some moments where we're gonna be looking at him like, did he say that? Did he just? Okay,
Yeah,
he did. He
said
said that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he said it. Oh, you heard him. So I thought your the woman that's running to be senator in Maryland, I thought she did great. You talk about somebody who also looked great, spoke
she looked
well.
Good, she sound good. She probably gonna lose, but she's definitely a rising star.
I think that, and that's why to me, I wanted her to say just throw in there a couple times, as the candidate for senator, or when I become the next senator out of the great state of Maryland, I will work with Kamala because we're gonna get, that. I wanted her to interject that a little more.
I'm gonna be honest. I think she loses the election, but I think she ends up working. If they get elected, I think she ends up working somewhere in the administration. She's definitely a rising star. Just to talk locally for a minute, she's running against a very popular Democrat-friendly Republican.
Yeah,
he's a safe Republican. He's a Republican that everybody likes. And then you remember going back to the pandemic days.
Yep.
He was one of the Republicans that stood up to Donald Trump. And so he's a safe. You know what I mean when I say this.
Oh yeah.
He's a safe Republican that people can sort of convince themselves he's okay to vote for.
Like a John McCain.
Yes. He's very much like a John McCain. Remember, he was one of the ones they were trying to get to run against Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. The thing about it is, and it doesn't help Democrats that y'all
she's
keep
running
touting
against Larry Hogan, and Larry Hogan made a lot
of
a lot of friends. He did, and he has a sympathetic story. He had cancer, and so I'm not saying again.
Hell,
I would love to see her win. I would love to see her win, but honestly,
my best friend, who both of us are noobs, voted against our frat brother for Hogan. Sure did. He told me, he said, dog, I'm probably gonna vote against my frat brother. I cussed him out, but
yeah. And here's the thing: I like Larry Hogan. Would I vote for Larry Hogan over also Brooks? No, but I don't dislike Larry Hogan. Honestly, if I'm being fair, I don't dislike him. As a matter of fact, when Larry Hogan was governor, I had to go back to work till after Labor Day, so I know I ain't mad at him.
My issue with the Democratic Party sometimes is you're only, and I talked with Kamz about this earlier before the show. One of my issues is, and it's not just the Democrats, both parties do this, when there's this hyper attention on just what they call battleground states, You
Reba Smoke said, I'm sorry, I'll tell you, Reba Smoke ass said.
Oh God. Cornell West reminds me of Grady from Sanford and Son. He does. He does.
It's that
You
he
know what?
definitely wears musk part.
Or no, he wear that old Spice that was in a white container with the bottleneck top, and it got the
Right.
little stuff you
He
splash
definitely
on
was
yourself.
right.
Look,
It was that he definitely wears musk part that did it for me. I'm sorry, El Teddy. I'm sorry. I couldn't focus. Smoke,
just a
stop.
mess.
Stop your focus on what El Teddy said.
So what I was gonna say was I think with both parties, and even with mainstream media, there's this hyper sensitivity and even money allocated just to these 6, 7, 8 battleground states that the problem is it makes people in the other states feel, well, I guess my state don't matter. Because you got people who gonna feel that way. Well, or like in Maryland, they might say, oh, well, this is a blue state. I ain't really got nothing to worry about. And now you risk losing a Democratic seat in the Senate in a state that technically should be a toss up. Y'all could spend a little more money. Y'all can go over there and stomp with also Brooks to give her that extra added boost or edge. And even if y'all don't want to go, send Michelle, send Barack, send somebody who's going to go over there and help get those extra points. You could send people to Florida, even though y'all think Florida is not a state that you could win. Florida is Kamala is only down by 4 or 5 points, depending on the poll you look at. And
I definitely feel like we're going to see the Obamas out on the road. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe we're going to see more and more of them out. I agree, but I agree with everything you're saying. I agree 100% with what you're saying. Absolutely.
So, because I think if they lose also Brooks, that'll be catastrophic. If she loses that race, because we know they're going to lose West Virginia.
I don't think it's catastrophic. Again, I don't think it's catastrophic for what I just said. Larry Hogan is a reach across the aisle kind of guy. That doesn't mean that he's going to go along with everything. That doesn't mean that's not what I'm saying. But he's not going to be a Mitch McConnell kind of guy. You know what I mean? So
but
that's my opinion, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
And my only question is, even with us talking about the John McCains or the others that seem like centrists, 95% of the time, even those people fall in line with their party. You know,
no, I agree, but I just think, and again, I could be wrong. But I just think that, once upon a time, and you know this as a scholar of politics, once upon a time, before the Tea Party years, in this era, because it goes through eras, but before the Tea Party years, there was such thing as negotiating and reaching across the aisle. And no, everybody's not going to walk away happy, but we're going to fucking get something done. And it just seems like government has, it's just gotten so, like I said tonight, it's just so my way, or I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to take my toys and I'm going to go home. Let me be clear. I want to see a Democrat win. I want to see Angela also Brooks win, but she's got a really, really, really tough fight. A really tough fight.
And that's why I'm concerned that their mainstream media and the Democratic Party is putting money into top of the ticket, not understanding that if you don't get the Senate back, definitely if you don't get the Senate back, but you need both chambers of Congress. The House is flippable. It absolutely is flippable.
It absolutely is. Absolutely.
And the Senate right now is a toss up. We don't know where it's going to go, depending on, if you lose. Because here's the deal: even if Hogan gets that seat, if Hogan is the one seat that makes Republicans win, that means they're going to pick one of their MAGA Republicans to be the majority leader. And that's going to be the person who assigns all of the committee chairs. And now you're going to have problems confirming members of your cabinet and members of the judiciary, because the Republicans are petty as fuck. And they don't give a shit about shutting the country the fuck down because they're retarded.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, to switch it up a little bit, because I really do have to get ready to go to bed, y'all. Only reason why I'm up as late as I am, right? Going back to the Tip O'Neill days, right below. Only reason why I'm up as late as I am now is because I actually can stay at home tomorrow and I have a training to do, but I can do it from home, so I can sleep in a little bit tomorrow. But let me ask you this: wasn't it interesting to see Ana Navarro speaking at the DNC?
It was. I'm not surprised
I'm
because
not surprised at all. Let's be clear.
she been on this train since 2016. She been on this train.
We know she's denounced the Republican Party, but
she was hosting.
Right, but there's a big difference between denouncing the Republican Party and now speaking on the second night of the DNC.
Well, not just speaking, but hosting the second night.
Yeah, hosting. I'm sorry.
Just like old girl who was Donald Trump's first press secretary before he fired her, and got the other lady who he got before he got Governor Quasimodo.
Had so many people.
Mm-hmm. Ciao.
Yeah, I thought that was so interesting. And again, we know that Ana Navarro is a never Trumper, and she's been gone since Trump. And she's been very vocal, very, very vocal. But I just thought I just thought that was so interesting. Armstrong Williams,
all they needed was Michael Steele to come out there. That's all they needed was Michael Steele to come out there with her.
Armstrong Williams is there, and I don't know if you remember, Armstrong Williams was staunch Republican.
Yes, absolutely.
Staunch, and he's at the DNC. Now he may be there as press, and if he's there as press, but he's there. He's at the DNC. It'll be interesting to see. It'll
Crazy
be
homebody. Crazy, real quick. Crazy homebody girl. She doesn't lean to the left. What happened is what we call centrist centrist Democrats today are actually former Republicans, because what the some of the principles of centrist Democrats right now are the same principles of Republicans early 2000s and back in the 90s. I'm just telling you what it is. So she can more so relate with centrist Democrats than she can with the party formerly known as the Republican Party.
And that's what I was going to say too, because I used, and that's what I've said this before, like pre Tea Party, because this pre-Obama era, I'm just, because we know this whole thing started with the Obama era, right?
Mm-hmm.
So pre-Obama era, I disagreed with Republican politics, but there was not this alienation on this level in my lifetime. I'm not saying it never was, but in my lifetime. And so when you look back on the Ana Navarros and the Joe Scarboroughs and the McCains, and hell, even Bush Jr., I look back on it now with a different mindset than when we were in it, because when you look at those people and you hear how those people speak now, how they feel now, like you said, and they still have very Republican views, but it's the Republican Party has moved so far right that they almost seem tame now, or even left, and they really aren't, but they're so not there. Because Joe Scarborough, who I used to love to hate him. Oh my gosh, I hated me some Joe Scarborough. Politically. But even now, he's just such an anti-Trumper. If the Republican Party went back to, the party of old, they would be right back over there, because their beliefs haven't changed. The party just has.
I think that in some of those states, like yours, your girl also, Brooks, what they need to lean on is, while Hogan may look good only within the state of Maryland, what a vote for Hogan means is a vote to give Republicans the majority in the Senate and power. And once we give these people power, our country halts to a gridlock. We end up with people not having, rights over their body. We end up with having people in the judiciary that are here to strip us of all of the rights that we've been working for. So while Hogan may appear, just on the state side to be, advantageous to a Dem, in the Senate, that could be catastrophic to the things that we're trying to do to progress this country. And that's what they need to lean on and talk about and sell to people who may be willing to reach across the aisle.
Sam A. I disagree. Sam A. said it's always been this bad. I disagree. I'm sorry. I disagree.
I'm gonna tell you, people will point to the Tea Party time, but the first iteration of this, My Way or the Highway, that I really can remember vividly thinking about is y'all's boy Newt Gingrich. I remember vividly in that what was that, late 90s? Newt Gingrich ushered in that era for the Republican Party. That was that first wave, that first iteration of, if y'all don't give us our way, screw y'all. We just, you know what I'm saying? I remember him vividly being that guy way back when. So
I agree, but I guess when I say it, because here's and I don't want nobody to feel like I was just living in, I'm Pollyanna or anything, because let's be clear, I'm not, I've never agreed, I'm not a Republican and all that good stuff. But I feel like, yes, we had the Newt Gingriches of the world, and yes, Ronald Reagan was no walk in the park. Like, I get it. I'm not saying that we haven't had bad actors, but I don't know. Donald Trump and what's been happening these last 8 years, with no matter what this mofo does, it's like, well, that's okay. That's all right. No big deal here. Nothing to see here. Keep it moving. I'm sorry. I can't.
Oh, we're definitely at the extremes right now. We are certainly living in the extremes right now.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Republican Party have always had these, this iteration of the Republican Party. We know the undertones of racism and classism, and like, I'm not, by all means, I'm not looking at the history of through rose-colored glasses, but this level, I'm sorry, y'all. I disagree. I don't think it's always been this bad. That's just how I feel. Remember Willie Horton, even before television and radio, there were racist political cartoons. Maybe we're talking about two different things. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the Republican Party ain't had shit with them. Please understand that. I'm talking about this level of Donald Trump. I'm sorry, y'all. If somebody that does this, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't.
Oh yeah, it has not been at this level. You're right. It has not been.
I'm not saying that we haven't had issues, and I'm not saying there haven't been bad actors, and I'm not saying none of that. But y'all, the last 8 years of this man, I mean, like, but again, let's just take his resume, for example. Here's a man that's been married 3 times, cheated on all 3 wives, has had children out of wedlock. We know that this man has been sued repeatedly for racial discrimination. We know that this man has had, literally, when he ran for president the first time, he had sexual assault cases against him and all of that. Now, I know we had Bill Clinton before y'all start talking about Bill Clinton. I know we had Bill Clinton, okay? But I'm just like, he would have never, and El Teddy, I mean it. His resume alone, he would have, the Republican Party would never have let a man like that win the nomination.
Never.
Much less once he got in office, but win the nomination. I mean, are we not going to remember? Are we going to forget that this mofo in his first, I think it was the first month of his presidency, literally had his chief of staff talking about, well, I understand that they're facts, but they're also alternative facts. Like, you literally had people out here defending his lies, blatant, like this nigga blatantly be like, yeah, I had more people show up at my inauguration than anybody in the history of the United States. And people like, yeah, we know he lying, but
the man said he had more people at his inauguration than that was at the I Have a Dream speech. That's what he said. I'm just telling you.
Right. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I know some people might be like, well, that's not a big deal. But when you look at politics, and I understand, Like, again, the Republican Party would have primaried his ass. There's no way they would have allowed him to become the nominee. No way. Ollie North began to normalize lying. I don't know if I agree with that either, Jason. I mean, I understand again, I'm not looking at our history with rose-colored glasses. It's some shit. It is some shit. I mean, let's use Nixon as an example. Nixon's own party was like, yo, you need to resign because we can't do nothing for you on this one. Do you look at the difference between how the Republican Party dealt with Watergate and how the Republican Party dealt with everything with Trump?
Well, yes. I also believe a lot has to do with there's been a drastic change, even as much as we talk about the change in the politicians, there's been a change in the press.
I agree.
And media as well.
And the
that
people,
has
because we've lowered the bar. We were talking,
Right.
I mean, not to go left, but we were talking about yesterday with the whole sexy red thing. We have lowered the bar on what we find acceptable and what we make excuses for. As a society, we've lowered the bar. So I can agree with you on that. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, the right side of the House of Representative is Yeehaw Junction at this point. Like it's just buffoonery. It really is. And you have the press who has always been a steady hand, calling truth to power, being able to ask the tough questions. And the press basically at this point is carrying the water for, whichever side they lean toward. And even the side that allegedly is supposed to lean left still is willing to carry the water for the right. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. And so when people go to their sources of truth, and a lot of these news sources
His
are
party
source
did
of
not
truth.
let him off the hook. They made him resign. How was that letting him off the hook?
When people go to these news sources as their source of truth, and that's what they take as gospel, and they get a skewed, jaded view on what's really happening, they come away believing the lie. They believe the lie, or they're willing to believe the lie because it feels better.
I guess it comes. I'm sorry, I was just reading the chat. I guess it comes down to our definition of when you say let him off the hook. Maybe you mean he didn't go to jail. If you're looking at it from that point of view, okay, fine, he didn't go to jail. But his own party.
I do think the Democratic Party pushed the fuck out of that when they had that hearing that was broadcasted nationwide. And that was the beginning of the end right there. And you had Charles Rangel and Barbara Jordan up there, freshman Congress.
Yeah. Listen,
and they undressed them. That was the beginning of the end.
So this is the example. This is the example I'll use, right? Here's what I'm going to leave it at this because I don't want to drag it on. Here's what I'm going to say. The night before, there was getting ready to be a vote to impeach Nixon. His own party leadership called him and said, bruh, you gonna get fired tomorrow, and we're not going to do anything to stop it. You need to go on and just work it out. So yes, they worked out a deal with him, but fast forward to the last 8 years, this motherfucker got impeached twice. And his party was like, listen, we don't give a damn that he's guilty. We're not going to impeach him. We're not going to we're not going to fire him. Y'all might impeach him, but we ain't going to fire him. So that's the point. That's the difference that I'm saying. We can debate about whether he should have gone to jail and whether they should have pardoned him. That's fine. The point I'm making is, under this Republican Party, Nixon don't even get fired. That's the point.
He easily is still in office. I mean, you have a Republican Party that has acquiesced and bent the knee to someone who's a convicted felon. Now, mind you, Nixon probably, had he gone to court, would have been convicted as well. I'm not going to take that from this situation, but this man is literally actually and figure. And
Right.
let's not,
He has been
and even beyond
convicted.
that, go further back to all of the horrendous things that he has done with Trump University, with him filing for all of these bankruptcies and him not paying employees and all types of other nefarious things that he's had going on. I mean, what are we talking about here? What
But
are we
that's
talking about?
and that's what I'm saying. He like Donald Trump's resume doesn't even get him. He gets primaried. He gets primary, and every time something came out about him, it was like feeding a gremlin after midnight. It was just like more Trump fans showed up. Like, wait a minute, so y'all don't care nothing about this. Like, it was like they kept finding shit, and they was like, we don't care. We still gonna vote for him. We don't care.
Thank you for the super sticker. Mrs. Cookie Ray,
Thank
she
you,
said
Miss
Donald
Cookie
Trump
Ray.
he was a registered Democrat before. But let's be clear, Donald Trump was somebody who was about himself.
an
He was a part of
opportunist.
the party of Trump. He really was not aligned with anybody.
Yeah,
He was
was an
aligned with
opportunist.
wherever he could go to get money. That's
Well, you
really who he
guys,
was
I
aligned with.
appreciate the lively discussion and the debate. And again, everybody, y'all know I love y'all. If y'all don't know me, just know I have my opinions, but I respect everybody's opinion, even if it disagrees with mine. El Teddy, thank you for inviting me on your platform. I need to go to bed.
Okay, I'm about to get out of here in just a second too, because it's been a long night. Listen, it was a great night, y'all. Great night. It started off kind of slow. But Doug Emhoff came and did what needed to be done, did what he needed to do. Shout out to Doug Emhoff. He came and did what he needed to do. You had Michelle that came after him, and then you had Barack that came and brought it home. Listen, I'm probably gonna wake up in the morning and listen to Michelle's speech all over again, pull the transcript and still do that rhetorical analysis that I said, and then I'll pull Barack's speech and do a rhetorical analysis on that as well, because I just love that kind of stuff. I'm a nerd like that. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. We stayed up all night, which I will be back tomorrow. I'm trying to see how I'm gonna make this work tomorrow, because I'm supposed to have a meeting tomorrow night. But we'll work it out. We'll make it work some kind of way. Let me say this. Let's keep up the energy. Let's stay in here. If you're new here, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. We have a great time here all the time. It's not just during DNC week, but we have a great time here all the time. We break down politics and we even talk some pop culture, but we certainly are the place to go to get real breakdowns of politics from people who do this and know what they're talking about, and not just regurgitating talking points that they've heard from CNN, MSNBC. This is a real place where we talk politics, okay? And we'll continue to do some more breakdowns tomorrow during tomorrow's on tomorrow's on day 3. As I always say, I love y'all. I love on y'all. Thank you all for being vocal, present, and active. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for any and all contributions that you make to the channel. They are much obliged and much appreciated. I so appreciate y'all for everything that you've given me tonight, rocking with me, and being here. We'll be back tomorrow, right back at it, breaking stuff down. I may be on at about 9 tomorrow, but I'm gonna try to get on before 9, maybe like 8:45 again. Just hit the notification bell, look for it, and it'll be there. That's all I got for y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. Until then, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. We out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. We will have a run your mouth tomorrow, so I'll see y'all tomorrow.